There we go. All right, everyone joining us, welcome to the stream. I'm doing another casting stream for the Eagles Nest tournament. Not playing today, not because I feel like I already gotten quite a bit of gameplay in already last weekend with the second place at the regional, playing Millennium on, right? And like, because I'm like in the process of moving and have been putting away a lot of my cards, if I was going to play today, it would probably just, I don't have a lot of my cards like ready and available, so I'll probably just end up playing Millie already again. And I imagine most of you have already seen me play it for like 9 hours on Saturday. So I figured, might as well take a break and such, and just cast some games. I feel like last week when I tried casting, I was a bit like out of practice and out of the meta, so I was kind of missing out on what a lot of the newer decks are capable of. But then I got to play in the regional, so I feel like I'm a bit more confident. I can understand game states. So hopefully I can give you guys a bit of a better casting experience. Also, new setup today. I got the good camera as my face cam this time instead of my rinky-dink one. So hope you guys don't mind seeing my unshaven beard in full HD. Got baited by the Twitch notifications that I was in DCGO. I only stream to the DCGO category because there's no Digimon TCG category for some reason. One Piece gets one, kind of. Don't they still use the? Do they still use the training app as their category? It's like it's either this or you have to like stream to like the PS1 Digimon card game category. So I just default to this one for all of my streams. Alright. I was gonna preamble for a bit longer, but it looks like people are jumping into their tables. Also, sorry. I've been like adjusting this camera position for like an hour before we started, and I like can't figure out one that I like really like. No matter what, it feels like I can never like chat to you guys directly, because when the action's gonna be here, so I'm gonna be looking this way. If I look at the stream, it's gonna be over, or look at the chat, it's gonna be over here. So forgive me that I'm not gonna be always facing the camera. All right, let's see here. Where do we want to jump into? Looks like we have 8 tables. I haven't seen Kupo play in a while. Let's go to table 7. I haven't watched Kupo play in a while, so let's go to table 7. Testing's way harder and exhausting than it looks. Fair enough. I used to run fairly large game tournaments and cast them as well. Always harder and exhausted no matter how much I prepped. Yeah, I had to take ibuprofen totally prior to get bad headaches. Yeah. I enjoy it though. I quite like casting. It's a nice break from the constant gameplay as well. It also lets me like, because I like play very like narrow like range of decks, it lets me like get a broader view of what other people are playing, which is nice. Alright. So let's swatch views over and flip one of these. Hopefully these guys don't mind being on the stream. But if you sign up for Eagles Nest, you gotta be signing up in preparation or knowing that someone is probably going to be streaming the event. Still co-streaming on YouTube as well, so if you prefer that platform, go right ahead. Thank you, Michael. I'm pretty proud of it. Right now, on my little webcam, you can probably see my old regional first. I really like this playmat as like a display piece. But soon you're probably going to see this and the uncut sheet back there as well as my little trophies whenever that gets here. Alright. Well, I'd love to chat with you guys more, but it looks like we're getting started. I'll try to do a little bit of both. Looks like we're watching Omnimon Adventure. Is this is Warp Omni? And we're seeing from a Gabumon, it looks like they're playing the 81 Omni as a top end, but I imagine if it's Warp Omni, we're probably also going to see, or if it's Warp DNA Omni, we'll probably might also see some Alter S action, but it's not quite exactly the deck we might have seen Bren top with, or get first place with. And we're up against Crossheart. That's another deck that I think is very viable right now that might be a little underrepresented. Check out Huang Zero's little top 32 video, play deck profile video to check out more of that deck as well. Seeing Crossheart dropping Katone, very strong teamer nowadays. Alright. Alright, back to the chat. Played in regional yesterday with the villain arc, went 2-3-4 with the bees. The draws were nuts, and congrats. 4 draws is crazy, man. Does bees slow the game down that much? That's crazy. That's like half the rounds. Nerves were shaking on Eagles when you were in it, lol. First game ever was on stream. yeah, I got this when I was playing 7 Great Demon Lords. Thank you for the congrats. CS Gaba whiffs on your level 5s in Ping Pong Alter S. Oh, that's a yikes. Oh, is it Omnimon in text? So I guess this is not Ping Pong then, this is like the classic old school. But we are looking back in the action, I see a Alter S in the trash. So I got checked out of security. So they're still playing Alter S. It's still probably like the best DNA Omni to go into right now. The effect of it is insane. It can't be understated just how strong it is that at end of attack it just spits back out your bodies. It like kind of reminds me of like what you end up doing with the with Shaco in Hoodie. The way you like get to use the CS Rookie to de-Digivolve kind of accomplishes the same thing, where you end up just going to get it to DNA over and over again. So these effects that allow you to just DNA multiple times in a turn are just extremely powerful. I wonder maybe if this will eventually lead to Alter S to be limited in the same that Shaco was. But it would have to be a case of like maybe a couple more months of that deck being a dominant deck for that to ever happen. We're seeing some more chip damage coming in for the from the Warp Omni player, and then passing turn with a Tamer, and then Crossheart setting up more and more Tamers. They're getting so much value out of all of their start of main phase effects. So much cycling going on. There's got to be like, how many, like 2, 4, 6, 9 cards underneath his Tamers in total? Surely you can now just like start digi-crossing a ton. Maybe drop a couple cross 7s or cross 6s. Your first regional and Queen Bee Tuck Hornet kept choking people, trying to give the homies time for some snacks. Realized didn't have enough time to go for the win, just kept drawing. Drew to Hybrids, Adventure Omni, Angels, and Crosshearts. More Tamers being played from the Crossheart player. That's his 5th Tamer now. Sometimes even after this much digging, you never find the pieces you're looking for. Or maybe just an awkward spot where he just doesn't know what to commit. Maybe he's looking for a more opportune moment to go all in for an OTK. But we're seeing the Omni player on their own turn moving up Gabumon. We might see Omni Nokia play Agumon. Yep, there it is. And he might just pop off on this turn, but we're not going for... Okay, he's picking up the Alter S. Now, if you aren't playing ping pong, I feel like you're not going to be as likely to keep turn on Alter S, but I might be wrong on that. Maybe he like ends up warping up into one of the like Metal Greymons that gives him, or Metal Garurumons that ends up giving him back memory. But without like a Sagittarius combo, then I imagine that's like one of the big ways that you gain that memory back. So I guess you do also have the tie-in mat that gets you there. I see. So he swung the Gabu to get the draw, get it in the trash, then played Miraculous Mega Knight to get it back out, which sets up the Miraculous Mega Knight as a sort of his defense potentially, if he ends up going warping up. It could be a good trap for the opponent here if the opponent goes for something along the lines of Cross 7, because Cross 7 bottom decks something. Is that an optional effect? I guess you can choose not to activate it, right? Come on. You may return. Ooh. So you can just choose not to return. But in that case, if he chooses not to return, then maybe he just gets hit by Ace. But he's just going straight for just leaning into CS Omnimon. I feel like the awkward part about doing that is it doesn't have like the spit out effect. It's a very aggressive line at the very least. Maybe he has lethal off of this in some manner. We're getting closer and closer to playing the World Championship. I just have to stop being so... My biggest hurdle right now is actually topping in a national level event. maybe next year. We'll see. In-person events are so much harder than having the comfort of being at home, you know? You missed my second place, Sag? I streamed it on YouTube, which means the VOD is right there if you want to watch it. Going for the swing, going for the trash and unsuspend. Is he able to attack again in some way? Oh! Hold on, let me read the card again. I think Omni just lets you attack immediately, right? On Evo? I haven't seen people play Warp Omni in a hot minute. So I gotta remind myself of some of these cards. I know what Alter S does because that's like the more common deck right now. I feel like I have to reread CS Omni because it feels like it's been the less common one at this point. I feel like when was the last time I saw CS Omni? Feels like it's been so long ago, like many months ago. Alright, let me reread this. Yeah, when Digimon may attack, so we got the trash security, unsuspend, one check, then go for the end of turn attack with the tamer. That's how he's able to just win the game there. Alright, good shit then. You know, I made fun of that Omni, and then mainly because it just doesn't do much during the opponent's turn. The decode is not good enough as a form of protection IMO. But you know, if you play aggressive like he does, shut them down, then he's a really good finisher. Kills him from 2 security just like that. I guess it was just unfortunate for Kupo that he was just taking too long to get set up. All those tamers and just was not making good enough pushes to outrace. Been trying to bounce between streams? Which streams are you trying to bounce between? My Twitch and my YouTube stream, or Twitch, or this stream and a different stream? You only have to be watching me on one. I don't mind if you just pick one or the other. You don't have to be watching me on both or anything like that. Let me catch up on chat here. Saturday, 1 game 1 against Blue Green Imperial in 20 minutes. Then instead of going for the win, you grind it down to see your cards in deck, and all 8 payloads are gone in the next 30 minutes. Ooh. Yeah. It's crazy that Digimon is like one of those games where you can actually kind of realistically win via like decking him out, like not even without playing mill. It's not so common anymore. It was like way more common for like way back when security control was actually a viable deck. That was actually like a win condition for them. Just because of the fact that people drew, but per Evo, it was actually not unrealistic to just have people naturally deck themselves. It's not the same watching live. I guess that's fair, yeah. It's not the same just watching it live. It's way more hype when it's live. Blocker is not enough nowadays. That is true. I do feel the same way, especially when if green, as green goes in in playability, and their entire shtick is, I mean, not even just green, right? It feels like you have like so many decks that are either like you're against green that suspend you, or you're against like a black or a blue deck that stuns you, or you just get removed, or de-digivolved and lose your blocker. Like even on like my Millenniumon, I tell my opponent my Digimon has blocker and redirect, and it feels like the least relevant part of the Digimon. They usually have some way of playing around it, unless they have like unless they just have like a bunch of weenies because they couldn't find their entire game plan, right? At best, it stops chip damage from like a rookie or something. Oh, the day of regionals is best between the Carta stream, my stream, and Lily Lyko. Whoever else was running, everyone was running the streams. Yeah. Attack target becoming, I can't not be changed, is becoming more common. Slightly. It is a thing that blue cards are in general are getting a little bit more of. It feels like I guess it's becoming a little bit more common, but to me it feels like it's still not that common. But I guess it's just like in terms of like meta decks, it's not that common in IMO. But it is getting there. Kind of the same concept as security control. Yeah. When you're playing bees, a lot of your game plan is to like stack Hornet Eraser, so you do feel like a little bit of a security control adjacent there. Only way lost if you pushed for a second win and hit tamers and stuff out of security and they snowballed. That is a thing. I feel like one of the reasons why OTK strategies are so prevalent in the game in general, not just like as like people like what like generally wins is OTK strategies, and part of that is because they don't have to deal with like hitting a like if you like go aggro and don't OTK, then you do just sort of risk giving your opponent just a bunch of free value out of security, whether it's tamers or just delay options, and then they sort of snowball from there. Waiting until you can OTK is just generally like the safer game plan. I think that's what we're seeing a bit of here right now as well, is that Koopa, the Crossheart player here, has like 3 rookies, and he's just not swinging them right now. Like, he could be like considering it at this turn, but he could also just be considering just the waiting, because he might hit like more. Let's see, look, yeah, he traded the Ukos instead of going to security, or like anything else like that. Now he's going to security because he wants to trigger his own attacking effects. I wouldn't say that Crossheart is a bad deck for this or anything, but like, it doesn't have as much tops as like maybe a lot of the other strategies, and maybe part of that is because as a deck that relies a lot more on doing chip damage, it's a lot more vulnerable to getting like blown out by some like really bad security check. Yeah, he really wanted to swing the Chatmon because of its on deletion effect and to trigger Pikmons, but he left the Ignite Mon alone, whether that's just to not overextend in terms of like potentially hitting out of security, or maybe potentially because he wants to save the when attacking effect for more to actually try to remove something. Like if the opponent doesn't swing the Uko, if the Omni player doesn't swing Uko here, he can still potentially out the Uko by swinging Ignite Mon. You definitely don't want to leave them with Ukos up. It's too much free value. Maybe he's saving the Ignite for like if the opponent drops like a Mega, he can potentially like also drop his own like cross 6 or cross 7 and then swing Ignite to remove. That probably seems less likely. Cross 6 and cross 7 already have strong removal built in. Okay, BT17 Metal Greymon, or Metal Garurumon, sorry. Dropping that and then getting to warp up into the CS for Greymon. Where Greymon can then pop the Ignite. And then he has an end of turn DNA he can potentially trigger here. Kupo's looking pretty low in security here. Does he have at least 3? Because I think if he has at least 3, he might not be necessarily dead here. Because Omni goes swing, crash security, unsuspend, and then 1 check. Hitting a Taiki. Okay. Here we go. This might be what we were talking about earlier. Taiki at a security. Could be just what Kupo needs to... If the Omni player isn't just winning on this turn. He does have Tie and Mat. He could just go for another swing and potentially take him to 0 security. He chose not to. He's probably just does rather like wait and like if Kupo doesn't like answer him right now, Yami is just lethal regardless because of the security trash. So he's just saying, answer me. And even then, he could just like maybe just make another Omni and that's lethal. So he doesn't have to necessarily like swing again. You know, don't have to risk giving your opponent any more free tamers. I think we did believe. I believe that we did see him pick up across 7. And it's not super hard or anything to like out this Omnimon. Of course, I know cross 7 only bot decks things that are smaller than it, though. I know Shooting Star Inherit helps them get the threshold up. Not to mention Zeke Gray also boosting his own DP. Or does Zeke Gray Raymond... Is Zeke Gray Raymond all turns or just opponent's turn? Alright, Zeke. It is all turns. Yep. So it should be big enough that he can bot deck that. The decoys decodes could happen, but like surely that's not too difficult to deal with afterwards. Okay. Interesting. I guess he feels like he doesn't have enough to go for it, and so he's choosing to instead just stun the Omnimon. That does still keep him from dying. But since he only has 1 Digimon, the Omni player can still drop a free rookie off Nokia, and then potentially still win the game by dropping another BT17, level 6. No new key effect, but instead going for Miraculous Mega Knight to play out the Gabumon. finding an Omni. So if he was missing that, he has it now. So we need to see. There's War Gray. For 7, effect, evolve into Metal Garuru. Show me Metal Garuru. Okay, that is a Metal Garuru. Secret rare version. Being back to memory. He gets to stun, I think, 3 things. Didn't have to worry about block or anything. And then he goes end of turn, DNA swing for game. Yeah. There's the Omni. Not even the one he picked up. He's just showing off at this point. This makes me wish I could have seen what was in Kupo's hand, because I was wondering, like, he was playing pretty passively, it feels like. So I can only assume that he was just missing this or that. Or maybe he was just, like, didn't have, like, even with, like, Cross Heart's aggression, maybe he didn't have enough to kill, and he didn't want to, like, you know, do what I was talking about, where he was trying to avoid, doing any like chip damage. Maybe he was like waiting for an opportunity for his play to be an OTK, so he didn't have to worry about, because like it's not like his Cross Heart was going to do anything during opponent's turn. And he just didn't have like the pieces needed to just straight up kill. Surprising to me, because I think it's not like Cross Heart's that low of a deck. All right. Well, that was pretty early. That was pretty quick 2-0 there. But we can jump into another table while we're waiting. So let's go table 5. What do we got going on here? What do we jump into? Red Hybrid Mirror? Let's go. Red Hybrid is one of those decks that I hear people are playing, but I don't think I've yet actually got to get a chance to see it much in action myself. So I'm pretty hyped to see this. Might have to like follow one of these players into the next round to get a chance to see more of it then. On one side, we see a Takuya and an Alderman. On the other side, we see Triple Tamer plus another Takuya. And they hatch and evolve a Flamon in the back. 4 security versus 3 security. Evolve Takuya into Aguni. Aguni effect, grab back a card from trash. I think that was an Alderman, or is that a bird? Yep, that's an Alderman. Evolve it for 3. Good. Red Hybrid, if you see Tri-Tamer is tier 1. I'll believe that when I start seeing it post regional tops. Maybe he already has. I'll have to double check what else topped a recent regional. I definitely didn't run into it in my run. Must have dodged it the entire time. Looks like Alda popped the opponent's Alda, which then just dropped the Tamer. Dropped 2 Tamers, because of course it did. There's a lot of on-deletion effects that just means that whenever you pop a hybrid, you tend to just, you know, pinata out a bunch of little kids. They're constantly proliferating. Alright. I believe there's an end of attack trigger there that allowed him to play out the other Takuya, and then he used the Alda condition to... Right, so then he got to tuck sources underneath, and he got to allow him to evolve another Aldamon over the triple tamer, hitting Crimson Blaze and another hybrid out of security, leaving the opponent at like, looks like 1 security left. Evolve Aldamon into... Whoa! Metallic Dramon? Hold on. I know that prevents something. That's a good thing to end on. Which Metallic Dramon is this? This is... It looks like EX7. And Digivolving their opponent's level 4 or lower Digimon can Digivolve until the end of their turn. Ironically, I feel like that doesn't do much in this matchup, right? Because it shouldn't be stopping Tamers from Digivolving, because Tamers aren't Digimon until after they've already been Digivolved. I think it stops some of the older hybrids, the ones that treat Tamers as Digimon, but a lot of the newer hybrids can just evolve over Tamers. So I don't know if this was like the right thing to end on, unless he just had nothing else to end his turn on. But like, surely he had like a rookie he could have dropped, or dropped another Tamer or something. Yeah, we're already seeing that like, we're evolving the triple Tamer to another Aldamon to pop their Aldamon. I think that Metallic would be a really good way to end your aggressive red hybrid play in like so many of the other matchups. This one mirror is like the awkward part. A Flamon in the back. Here. I want to read the new Aldamon again, just so I know his effects better. Rush. Rush is nice. Delete something. Yep, we've seen him do that a couple of times, and then the end of attack / on deletion. The cycle, and then drop a Tamer from your hand without paying the cost. Oh, one thing I really like about the Beowulf version of this is that he end of attack gets to tuck cards underneath a Tamer automatically, which could help you like get, you know, like chain Beowulfs together. But like chaining Aldamon seems a lot better when you consider the fact that they have Rush. So whatever Tamer you play for free. Medusa. That's one of these things about these aggro decks that have level 5s as their top ends. Your level 6s can just be like whatever. You can just pick any crazy tech level 6 you feel like is good. We've seen Metallic, and now we've seen Medusa, which is cool. I like Medusa. He plays around on deletions really well, and if your deck is mostly deletion effects, that seems like a really good thing to tech for. It'll help you deal with like the mirror in this case, or it'll help you deal with like ghosts, I guess, is a prominent deck with on deletion, and like the Millenniumon, of course. Do you think of evolving that Alda and then took it back or something? That's another thing, strong thing about attacking Medusa. Just giving your opponent, God, yeah, it just seems really pretty good in this deck in general. Not only can you like then evolve another Aldemon and then like delete the Petrified token to trash security for extra damage, or you could just like leave it there so you can turn off scrambles. Petrification tokens are just generally really strong. There's a reason why Medusa is considered one of the top decks right now. It's top several regionals. I'll have to look at those results in a bit. I haven't seen it in action too much yet. Hard to keep track of everything that is winning right now. Because the point I keep bringing up right now is that so many different decks are viable right now. It's a smorgasbord. You can play almost whatever you like. Yeah, unless your on deletion is crazy or an opponent's kind of hard for them to survive, Medusa and all that. Yeah, Medusa and Millie. Not just Medusa and Millie, but like there's also, if you aren't dealing with those decks, you're dealing with decks that can like bottom deck you or de-digivolve you. But there are matchups that where your on deletions can come up. Like Shine Gray doesn't have an answer, for example, and that's growing in popularity, right? Let's start this back up. Oop. Is the YouTube GM too loud? I'm gonna turn it down a little bit. I don't want it to be louder than my my commentary, or too loud in general. Alright, I looked away and then I don't know what's happening right now. The game is not quite over yet, it looks like. Nope, they're packing it up. Oh, showing off Emperor Grey that could potentially have won the game as well, I guess. I guess they're just yapping about their deck choices. Alright. I imagine that was likely the end of their plays. And now they're just showing off their techs. Ro is on both Link Dragons, which makes sense because it means that if you're running both, you get to do the opportunity. You get the opportunity to use their alterns effect as well. And Marcos's list looks really interesting here. I'd love to see more of it, but I generally would also like to keep moving towards the higher tables in the upcoming rounds as well. Dinobemon? That makes sense. That makes sense, honestly. Yeah, because it can play out Uko. Something I know very well from playing Fenrir Luga. Another way for you to push free damage, because you could just go Evolve Burning Gray, DNA them both into Dinobi, play out Uko, swing Dinobi. That's like 4 damage right there. It's also a good way for you to like turn gamers that you played out for free into damage, since, you know, it's like a way to get rush out of them. Like another thing you could do is just like, I believe, let me see, if I remember correctly, what parts do you get from, I think the Dinobi giving something rush is not tied to the DDG, is not tied to the evolution condition, if I remember correctly. Yeah, if DNAing, you play out a free trait, and then even if you didn't DNA, you can give something rush and attack a player. Which means that even if you aren't just DNAing it, just allow it for 4, just to get rush and attack. Like if you just need something to like end your opponent, is already pretty good. Especially since you have the Aldemon that has the end of attack. Play a free tamer, right? But even if you don't have like a way to give that thing rush, one way to give it rush is to evolve it into a level 4 and then into a Dino Bee. I know one thing people were doing in like certain decks is they do something similar. They do so like they use Arrest their Superior for a similar reason. That doesn't give rush, but it does give you an extra attack, right? So you can like evolve one of your evolve into a Goonie or a Burning Gray, swing, and if it lives, they can evolve into Superior mode to get another attack that way. I think I've seen a number of red and or purple hybrid decks running that card. Right. Imagine they finish their rounds. Let's leave them to Yap, and in the meanwhile, what should we do? I kind of want to look up like a recent regional tops, so we can like look through all the decks that I have not been privy to that are also topping. It's crazy that like I went 9 rounds playing like 8 different decks on Saturday, and there's still like a ton of stuff that's been topping that I completely dodged, right? See here, I know someone's running Digilab as another deck tracker or like topping tracker, I guess. I'm gonna hit up that site and see if I can glean anything from them, or if maybe I should just hop over to Eggman's again. I thought they posted a link to it somewhere. Where's the link? In your experience, diverse metas are cool and fun for spectators, but are kind of bled for competing. I've heard that argument more than a couple of times. Yeah, it's hard to prep for everything. Yeah. Let's say it's probably maybe the best way to go about it is basically what I did for my run. Is just like, I went in going with the lackadaisical attitude, just went, whatever happens, happens. And I mean, I guess it doesn't feel that great that like for a lot of people that like if it comes down to luck, I guess I'd have to like, I can't help but to admit that basically that's what happened is I just got pretty lucky with my bracket. But when the meta is that wide, it is more or less kind of like the attitude you have to go into it with, is that you can't just stress about the tournament and just go, play my best and say whatever happens, happens. Yeah, I'm gonna have to start just like looking up this site myself. We have like 8 minutes until overtime. Okay, digilab.cards. Okay, so we do have recent tournaments. Do they have the regionals? Huh. the result from that entire regional? Or where's the link to do that? Hold on, let me just show you guys what I'm seeing. So you guys can help me out here. This is the topping deck, of course. But click here, this is for the entire organization. Which I guess has on one tournaments. Okay. It has what's winning, or what won. But can I not see the entire top, at least top something or other? I guess I can see all decks. And probably like, yeah, see mine and the third place deck as well. That I saw earlier, someone posted to me. This was a really interesting list. Can I not see the deck, please? I'm so lost. How do I navigate this site, my man? I'm on Millennium on as a deck. Can I not see? Do they not store deck lists here? Actually, no, they do, because we were looking at one earlier, right? Right? No, deck lists aren't being shared. It's just deck data. Okay. Ancient Greymon talked. Did it top? Or is it just 4 or 5 record? Is this every deck or just what topped? Most wins? Most played. This is probably every deck. Okay, let's go to Eggman. Okay. There we go. Now we can see everything that topped. Okay, they have it listed as Groudmon X, which makes sense because that's what the deck ended up kind of being. It was listed as Millenniumon, but it's a. I used to play a deck like this back in the day, like a year ago, back when before we had these great promos. What we used to do to put in Millenniumon is like go Growl X and then evolve into Chimera, self-delete to trigger the effect to play out a Guilmon, then use the Chimeramon on deletion to play out a Machinedramon, and then evolve that into Millie or DNA. So here's a similar idea. It looks like the game plan here is to do that combo to drop EX1 Machinedramon, and then tuck your cyborgs to gain memory. You can use Attack of Heavy Mobile to then swing, and afterwards you can like evolve into Millie to self-pop again to replay Machinedramon to then gain more memory. So it's like a Machinedra Millie loop. Cool deck. I might have to play this sometime. Oh, we were just talking about Red Hybrid. Of course it got 4th place. So this must be Was this the same player? Because we also seeing Medusa. Or is Medusa starting to become just more common in Red Hybrid in general? Well, I generally wanted to see what Red Hybrid looks like nowadays. Hotpin feels a little sparse. It's just 4 total cards. That makes sense because the deck in general seems to be a level 4/5 beatdown type strategy in the first place. You know, swing your Aldas, get your free Tamers, evolve them into more threats. You have a lot of ways to generate extra memories and extra swings without having to rush them down with. It's hard to like stop because even if you delete them, they just spit out more Tamers. And then it's just like, it's like an unstoppable onslaught. You're going to have to like put up some kind of blocker or something. And even then, you might just get suspended or pierced through or deleted. Yeah, Aldamon is the true boss monster here. Especially since it has Rush. So, you know, after you use it to swing and spit out more Tamers, you can just evolve that into another Aldamon and it'll have Rush so it gets to swing. Yeah, so it's like, it's a Rush Turbo, like, aggro deck of sorts. Time. But it is cool that we saw from the players we just saw a couple more like interesting techs that you could potentially put into this. It's just like a factor of like anything that top ends on like a level 4 or level 5 is that anything that you go beyond that can just be random nonsense to like throw your opponent off. Whether it's Link Dragons or Medusa, or, you know, since it's a very level 4 heavy deck, Dino Bee is another way for you to get rush swings off. Mouse was mistaken. You threw Lamau? Yeah, I haven't seen too much Red Hybrid in action myself. So if you did throw, I kind of missed it myself. I was kind of lost on what was happening other than knowing that Aldamon was swinging and deleting. But I want to see more Red Hybrid so I can actually, you know, become more privy to what it's doing right now. So I might follow another Red Hybrid player for the next round. Yeah, popped a token to trash security to swing for game. Pretty good. You forgot Metallic effect already? Metallic was just really weird in this mirror though, because Metallic stops level 4s from evolving, if I remember correctly. And that doesn't stop Tamers from evolving. Because we no longer are using effects that treat Tamers as Digimon. We just evolve over Digimon, or evolve over Tamers. I think this one still does. Yeah. This one treats Tamers as if it's a level 3 Digimon. I'm sure I'd have to look at whether or not Metallic stops this, but everything else just says evolve over Tamer. So it does not stop, Metallic does not stop all of your other hybrids from evolving at all. This is a Takuya black box anyway, yeah, so it doesn't even stop this card. Because all your cards are Takuya. Yeah, so just kind of unfortunate. Unfortunate part of the mirror right there. In general, you probably wouldn't even ever treat at least in this deck, you would never use the trade as level 3 effect anyway, because then you'd be evolving for 3 instead of for 2. Unless you're trying to purposefully evolve for 3. I feel like doing that on purpose has like really, really niche use case scenarios. And in that scenario, you probably would not, right? Because it'd be late enough into the game where you're probably trying to play for a game and trying to do things for as low cost as possible. You're only ever like evolving for 3 instead of 2 if you're looking for an efficient way to pass turn. I guess stopping your hybrids from then evolving into, like, I guess it stops you from going evolve your level 4 into level 5 Aldamon. Like, considering this is like your good Alda, which can just evolve straight over Palkia. I mean, I guess it stops some things. But as far as I can tell, it does randomly come up because of Strabi. I guess if you're trying to use your level 3s as things to evolve over. What about New Aguni? Mm-hmm. You place one hybrid under your guys. And you can evolve. Yeah, I guess it does stop specific, like, hybrid into hybrid shenanigans like that, evolving Aguni into Burning Gray, or using this to evolve into Alda. Yeah, I know Alda just evolves needs 2 sources under something. But like, I guess if you're running out of triple tamers, then yeah, you're not gonna be able to use Alda to go over to Kuya. But like, it feels like with the 3-cost Evo, you're generally not going to be evolving. I mean, I guess you still could use this Aguni to evolve into this Alda for 2, and then like use the Strabi to gain back the 1 that you mentioned earlier, and that might be a fine play. But like, that's such like a niche. It feels like, I don't know. Maybe it's because I don't know. I haven't played this deck, so I don't know the general play patterns. It still feels like the Metallic is still not going to be stopping too many plays. Yeah, I know. It's like, of course, the Tritamer is crazy. You still, in general, want to be seeing this card all the time. Also, I still think it's like it's not like going to be the scenarios where Metallic is going to stop your opponent to still feel pretty niche. Because like if your opponent is not seeing Triple Tamer, then you're probably winning the game anyway, right? All right. Okay, finally, next round. That's next round. Hopefully I didn't miss too much. Ooh, okay. Table 4 I definitely want to watch. Hopefully I wasn't distracted too much and we get to catch the start of this. Metallic stops all non-tri-tamers from going to Alda and getting rushed. Stops combo of Medusa, Alda, end of turn pops, token swing for game, but you're right, Metallic is, yeah, okay. It does do stuff. It stops really specific plays, so it does feel like it's going to be one of those things where you have to do it with purpose. But enough of that. I'm showing my lack of experience in knowing Red Hybrid because I don't play Red Hybrid. I play Millenniumon. And one of the reasons why I wanted to do more casting today is to familiar myself with the decks in the meta that I don't necessarily play that much of. Or decks that I don't run into because I dodge Red Hybrid all day on Saturday. Is this another mirror though? Wait, this is Bren. Bro said, I won with Alter S. Fuck it, let's play Red Hybrid now. I really thought I was going to see Alter S versus Red Hybrid, and now it's another mirror. Yeah, when I saw this table, I was like, oh yeah, Bren versus Soy Marcos. So we get to see Red Hybrid versus Alter S? Nope, it's a mirror. All right. Baited, yeah. All right, so Bren went turn 1, evolve BT21 Flamon into play Searcher Flamon, and then Soy Marcos went evolve Flamon in the back, play Double Tamer. Bren's now swinging his rookies. Flamon did not die, instead it hit a security, hit another team out of a security. It's just a factor of playing matchups like this. You're just going to end up giving your opponent free tamers a bunch. It feels like you want to be the first person to start swinging because you're playing aggro versus aggro, but then security is a crapshoot. Okay, so now we're using... I guess he probably still wanted to swing the Flamon to trigger the Koromon, and then he activated the Flamon effect to start playing his Triple Tamer. Having a Triple Tamer kind of does, in some semblance, put you ahead of your opponent. You put Strabby underneath it as well, so maybe he goes into Aldemon? No, he plays another Triple Tamer. Starting to tuck more sources. Puts just one Flamon underneath, it looks like. Which is probably fine. He can still get to like 3 sources next turn. I think you need 4 for the memory. It's fine, maybe. He's probably running out of cards in hand, so he can't tuck too much. Okay. Takuya evolves into Burning Gray, I think using the start of main effect, and then he plays Spirit Evolution. Now Flamen gets to go in. Again, hitting value out of security. Spirit Evolution. Alright. What does Spirit Evolution do? Pressure card to draw 2. When any of your tamers inherits are played, delay, you get to evolve into a hybrid for free. Okay, that makes sense. Burning Gray swings, hits Burning Gray. Isn't Burning Gray getting DP on Evo or something? Or am I crazy? I'm thinking of a different Burning Gray. Yeah, that's the one that just evolves when attacking. Never mind. So yeah, that's why it died. Security, and then drops his own Searching Flame on. But now it's Bren's turn. Getting to tuck that Burning Gray, check out a security underneath the Tamer so that he gets the 4 sources so he can gain memory. Anything more to add underneath the other one? Yeah, just 1. Which is at least enough for him to be able to evolve that into an Aldemon. And of course, start of main Takuya. Getting to evolve something for reduced cost, I believe, is the effect. Forgive me for looking up cards again. This is one matchup that I want to watch to learn more about. Yeah, evolve into hybrid hero trait in the hand. For each of your different names, reduce the cost by 1. Well, I think you can reduce by 3 then, since you technically have Takuya, Zoe, and that is a question. Does having double triple tamer count as 3 different names at this point? Can you treat them as Takuya and Zoe and Tommy in the same way you would for like in the same way that for like when you're playing hunters, you treat all your double colored tamers as like different colors, or like you treat your like you can like for when you're talking hybrids, you can tuck a red card and then a red purple card because that's 2 different colors. I imagine since the colors things work, the names things should also work. Not that there's any 3-cost evos for you to reduce, but maybe there is. Maybe you can use that to evolve like Alda for free. It looks like that's exactly what he did, because I'm seeing an Aldamon suspended on the board now that I look at the board. Discard 1, draw 2, off the end of attack it looks like. Playing another Takuya. Put that upside down to indicate that it doesn't have, or can't attack this turn unless it gets a rush. But with this much memory, surely you can just like end the game here, right? There are only 2 security left to go through. Maybe he doesn't have the cards in hand for that. With how much he was tucking cards underneath his tamers, his hand size was looking pretty low. The cycle probably helped, but one of them was a tamer that he played out, so maybe his hand is just full of tamers. He's doing some counting. Okay, there's an Aguni. It can tuck a source, but that's another minus card, another 1 less card in hand, so I imagine you don't tuck a source unless it's something you don't care about. He chose to tuck the Alda, which at least gives him insurance against security options, so like he doesn't hit, like in case he hits, I don't know, another Spirit Evolution or Crimson Blaze. That guy's... I think evolve into Burning Gray. I guess he evolved into the Burning Gray for the cycle, but it feels like he could have just kept the Burning Gray in hand to evolve over another Takuya. I wonder what he's digging for. Maybe he needs another Aldamon to get the rush. Cycle again. Using the effect to tuck Strabimon underneath that tamer. Now it has 5 sources. So now he could potentially make an Emperor Gray? Opponent also has a Flamemon on board, so if I remember correctly, one of the Emperor Greys is like you can attack over a Digimon on Evo or something like that, and then if he does that and pierces, he can like unsuspend and then go end of turn attack for game. If I'm remembering the effect correctly. But there's the Emperor Grey I just mentioned. For each color, trash a Digivolution card, then suspend another Digimon, then this Digimon may attack. If it deletes an opponent's Digimon in battle, it gains Sec Plus for the turn and unsuspends. So yeah, the opponent, Marcos having the Flamemon on board is going to get punished for it, because he's getting to be able to attack it and then unsuspend. Check that last security, and then swing for game. Oh, does it not have piercing? It did not have piercing. Uh-oh. That's right, he himself doesn't have piercing, so you need to give it piercing in some way. So Soy Marcus just barely lives for that, it looks like. That's wild. And now Bren is sitting here with only 3 security, and the opponent having... Marcos having, like, what, 5 Tamers on board? And a Spirit Evolution to work with as well? Though I don't know if Spirit Evolution matters here too much, since I think the delay is for it to... Yeah, evolve something for free, so that does also matter. It's just free memory for him. Yep, now both of his Triple Tamers have like 4 sources. And just like Brendan to him, if he evolves any one of them into the, yep, doing that thing we mentioned before, he has more than enough names that the Takuya start of main phase effect can evolve an Aldemon for free. And he evolves Flamon in the back. If he has the Aguni we talked about earlier, he can also turn his third or his second Triple Tamer into having 5 sources, so Emperor Grey is probably available as well. And it looks like, I think, if I remember correctly, Zephyr's Inherit is piercing, so if he evolves that Triple Tamer into Emperor Grey, he can do the play that I mentioned and actually use it to kill. Yep, there's Aguni. He's not using the Onivo, is he? Okay, he chose not to use the Onivo to attack the source. He's just going to go swing evolve into Alda. Potentially to try to take advantage of the Inherit there. Then there's Burning Gray. As long as he has any other hybrid, that's basically game. He has more than enough memory to just go for it. Yeah. That's the thing I think that's going to be just generally true about this. Ooh. What does this Emperor do again? Delete. Is that not the promo? It deletes, gains DP, end of your turn is Digimon unsuspends, and then end of turn attack for game. Yep. He might have just top decked all those level 4s. He just wanted a style. Yeah. So let's say with this matchup especially so, because both of you are just sort of like rushing down, you do have to sort of like find an opportunity to just sort of like have a kill turn where you just like evolve a bunch of hybrids and win all at once. Because if you leave them at 0, you're dead. Right? If you're just short of killing them, your opponent will kill you for sure. You cannot miscount lethal. Of course, in that position, even if he, you know, the opponent already had enough, so he already had enough, Marcos already had more than enough Tamers and resources, I bet, to kill regardless. So Bren guaranteed had to go for it there. But probably definitely did not feel good to give Marcos those free Tamers from like the random Flamemon check. But because of Koromon, it still feels like you kind of have to do that because you need the hand resources so bad. It's just a volatile matchup in one way or another. I guess on the flip side there, on Marcos's end, because Bren was going first, you just have to pray that Bren can kill him that turn, and he just so happened to like be missing a crucial card to do so. Like, even if you just needed a Zephyrmon to give piercing to his Emperor Grey, just that would have been enough. Alright. Evolve Flamemon in the back, play Flamemon to discard 1, draw 2. Ukamon effect. Match. Evolve BT21 Flamon. I'm starting to recognize these cards. I feel like I'm getting it. Looking through his cards, is he trying to decide on a tamer to evolve into? No, it looks like no tamer. He's just evolving into Zephyrmon in the back for a cost of 3 to pass turn on 1. Immediately swing the Flamon. Does not hit a tamer. So dies and gives him a draw. Plays his own tamer. Getting to tuck 2 cards underneath. So doesn't have to go minus in hand. Drawing a card. Good hand resources. Marco's just building up cards in hand. Meanwhile, Brent is getting to trigger Uko again. Picking up Kumamon. So Brent definitely has hybrids, but does he have tamers? Another BT21 Flamon in the back. I believe, what was Flamon's inherit? That I forgot. Evolved Alda and swung, which outed the other body and then gave him end of turn or end of attack effect. Or he double Koro, so he got his draws. So now we got 4 security to 4 security. And as he more cycling, discard 1 to draw 2. And surely with that much 4 cards drawn, he finds a tamer. There's triple tamer. I looked away to try to look up Flamon. Did Brandon hit a second triple tamer out of security? That's a yikes. Ending turn on Spirit Evolution. More cards in trash is nice because they just go under the tamer at the end of the start of his turn anyway. Trashing a Zephyrmon, which is good. You know, you kind of want that piercing for your Emperor Grays. Okay, the Flamon Inherit is just DP boost. Okay. Right, start of turn. You got 4 sources under there. Okay, we'll go to 3 memory. Only 1 source underneath the other one. Can't be tucking too much, otherwise you just run out of cards in hand. It's a shaky balance. It's like playing with purple, where you have to like be careful what you do and don't discard, because you got to maintain your own hand resources just as much as you gotta get cards underneath. But there also could be a color issue there because it has to be different colors, and there's also I'm seeing a lot of mono red cards here as well. All right, here's Aldemon for 3. What do we pop in here? Uko, of course. Going to security, gaining 1 off of Strabi. What do you hit? A Burning Gray, I think. End of attack. Crash 1, draw 2, play a tamer. And then evolves into Volcanic. Okay. Now this I have to remind myself what it does. Delete lowest DP, so that means that's only attacking, so it does not delete. Opponent can't play or move 6k or DP or less until the end of their turn. Still a really it's basically Ruin, or what Ruin Mode tends to enable for you is just preventing people from playing removing cards with even a higher threshold than Ruin Mode is. It's almost more surprising to me that people don't play Volcanic Germon more often, just because, you know, it's just Ruin Mode. Which means the Flamon is stuck in the back. generally aren't playing Digimon in hybrids, so you don't stop that. But you know, that Flamemon being stuck there is one less swing from Bren, regardless. The Bren only has an Alda and one Tamer to work with, though the Spirit Evolution there could turn itself into an extra swing potentially. Like if he swings the Aldamon, goes end of attack, drop a Tamer, Spirit Evolution delay can then evolve that into a Digimon for free. Right? So like if he drops triple Tamer off of this, he can then get another free Aldamon, which then will have Rush, right? But that would be like his third triple Tamer at this point. So I feel like it's not gonna be that likely. It's more likely to be a regular Takuya. So that ended up being another triple Tamer, but he needed to tuck two sources here. Okay, he is tucking two sources. Yep. Drawing a card. That triggers the Spirit Evolution, right? Or did I already forget what Spirit Evolution does? All turns when Tamers are with inherent effects are played, delay. Yeah, so he can trigger the delay. Maybe he doesn't have another Aldemon. Or a free Alda evolution here could have been super good. Especially since it would have been free and would have had Rush. He still has like 3 security to chew through. 6 memory is a lot to work with though. You can like go into like an Emperor without passing turn. Though I don't know what Emperor you'd be wanting to go into here in this scenario. Because even Premo only unsuspends at the end of your turn. But I guess you can like evolve his other tamers into Digimon and then go end of turn or evolve pass turn on evolving Emperor Grey. But even then, that's like 1 damage short. He needs like 1 more tamer or something. So he's paying 3 for this Aldemon. At the very least, he still can do the thing where I mentioned earlier after this Aldemon swings. But he would have to find another Aldemon. God, this deck is just Alda and Triple Tamer are like the 90% of your plays, it feels like. Evolve, they swing there. It's a hybrid, so nothing happens. End of attack? Cycle? Play Tamer, maybe? Discard that, draw 2. Got a Tamer? Any Tamer at all. With inherited effects, it still triggers Spirit Evolution. There's Spirit Evolution being triggered. Maybe he has another Aldemon. There's another Aldemon for free. Draw. Marcos moved the memory counter, but it's free, brother. Spirit Evolution effect. Thinking that also gives him a memory, which is nice as well. Ooh, he's going for an evolution here? Okay. So there's end of turn. Evolve that. Is the pop that pops, right? Is that mandatory? On Evo delete. Yep, that's mandatory. And there's metallic. Oh no, and then metallic on play. The Digivolve, right? Yikes. with the Digivolve 4, you can choose how much. So yeah, he just goes back into that. Yeah, he did have it. He still gets to end of turn unsuspend and swing. I guess the idea was to go end of turn unsuspend and then swing the Alda to gain the memory. And then another Emperor would have done it. But the Metallic in hand, it ruined everything. Yeah. This Lynx Dragon's Red Hybrid is looking really sick. Yeah, it's definitely GG from this position. At this point, we're just going through the motions. Red Hybrid is such a aggressive deck too. It's super. It feels super all or nothing, especially if you aren't running techs like these Link Dragons. So the moment you're in this position, you have like no defense. Like maybe you might be taking something like Crimson Blaze, but Crimson Blaze does not save you in this. This does not save you here. Oh yeah, the Digivolve is also when attacking, so he gets the Digivolve again. And then you just go hybrid. Bro, you don't even have to bother with tucking. You just go for it, brother. Swing when attacking, evolve into. Is that Jet Self? Hybrid for game. Huh. I didn't expect the Jet Self either because I don't think I saw it on the that other hybrid list that topped. So double checked its effect. It's a stun, right? Can't go wrong with stun effects, to be honest. I was saying that like Red Hybrid feels all or nothing, like it has like almost so little defense. But Marcos's version of the deck looks like it has actually surprisingly quite a lot of defense. Between the Link Dragons and stun effects from like Jet Sylphimon, you have a lot of like actual disruption that you can go into. Now that was red green Jet Sylphy. And here being 2k all turns does matter. Yeah, it can matter quite a bit. But I imagine it's mostly just for the for like the stuns. I like it. I feel like Red Hybrid might not be for me because it's so all in. But like maybe if I'm gonna play Red Hybrid, I'd probably pick up Marcos's version of the list. I like how it's a more of an all-rounder. More flexible lines, while still being able to do the crazy damage that you would expect a Red Hybrid deck to do. Because most of that is still concentrated on the cards that, your hybrids and your Aldas and such. True. Table 3 or table 2 and table 7 are still playing, it looks like. Table 2 has a bunch of spectators already, so let's go up into table 7. Let's see what's going on here. Shine Gray versus TS. This is the kind of matchup I'd expect on a higher table. Their buddy Camrad here. What word state are we looking at? We see a BT17 Shine Gray versus on one side and then a Venusmon on the other. The dragons are the Venusmon for Red Hybrid. Yeah, it's so fun to bait the metallic. It looks so sick. I love it. I love it, Marcos. What are we looking at here? Dropping the double tamer to go end of turn, swap one Abyss Sanctuary for another. To then also play a Neptune Mon. That's going to be able to bottom deck both, but if I remember correctly, doesn't that Shine Gray have a protection effect? Because they made that Shine Gray in order to, like, try to use Shine Gray Burst, which is why it's mono yellow and everything. Yeah, when its Digimon would leave the battle area by opponent's effects, we can return one of your yellow tamers to the hand to prevent it from leaving. It's one of the only Shine Grays to do that, to have, like, any sort of protection. Okay, so instead of that, he bottom decked the Geogray, and then he used the Homeros to then instead strip and stun the Shine Gray. That's probably better because, you know, what is the Shine Gray doing there other than potentially just evolving into like into a level 7? Venusmon stun kind of more or less shuts down anything you could potentially be even thinking of doing with that Shine Gray. Your playtesting in 2K matters more because it allows your Tri-Tamer out of security to get bigger. So when you Spirit Arrow on an opponent's turn, your Alda is big enough to pop things. That sounds pretty good, actually. I didn't think about the whole, like, you know, because Spirit Evolution is all turns, you might be using that as like a security bomb. Or like, or a deletion trap for when your opponent deletes your Alda. The reason you're playing Red Hybrid is everyone's playing Ruin Lock. And when Red Hybrid doesn't really care for it. Yeah. I noticed that a lot back when I was playing like a lot of Sakuya. Because Sakuya is very much a Ruin Lock type of a deck a lot of the time. And it was really annoying to run into like Red Hybrid and stuff because it's like, what do you do? Removing doesn't matter. I mean, I guess current Sakuya, it does could do a lot better into Red Hybrid because you could just like spam Blue Plug to just stun all their tamers. But back when the deck was way more like Ruin Lock heavy, Red Hybrid was a really annoying matchup for that reason. Maybe one of the reasons why Melee can do so well in this meta as well is that if everyone's playing Ruin Lock, that's also another deck that doesn't care for Ruin Lock too much as well. Is Millenniumon. Alright. Yeah, being past 7 does mean that the Shine player can just sort of slam Rise Gray without passing the turn. Main issue holding back is Venus TS, yeah. That's the thing about Tamer heavy decks, is that we're seeing now more than ever, so many cards right now stun Tamers. We have Venusmon stunning Tamers, Sakuya can stun Tamers with their blue cards, a lot of green cards nowadays are stunning Tamers as well. Tamer stun is more prevalent now than ever. Maybe that's a good reason for people playing hybrid decks to potentially start running... No. Ignore what I was about to say. Because Venus, well, I guess it depends on like what you're up against. I was like thinking about Arrestor Superior, who has the on Evo attack without suspending. And that plays around some stun effects, but does not play around Venus, because Venus also shuts down when digivolving effects. But it probably will help you into like everything else that stuns, because we are seeing so much of that right now. interesting. I wish I could rewind to look at that again. What I think I just saw happen was that the Shine Gray evolved, and then it must have DP minus the Venusmon, because the Venusmon attempted to protect itself by, I think, bot securing or bottom securing the Marcus, and then it like died anyway because DP 0. Alright, slammed another Rise Gray to get another Alliance check in for the last 2 security. And then we're going to see possibly an end of turn swing here. First we got to resolve the, Abyss Sanctuary, dropping Ikakumon. I don't think Ikakumon's going to do much here. Ikakumon's jamming, not blocker. And without Abyss Sanctuary, it doesn't have blocker with that either. But I think this is probably game with Shine winning here. So you go end of turn, one of your Marcuses gains Rush and is a Digimon, and you can swing. Swing Evolve Ruin mode for free. Cool. Looks like Shine won this one. Don't count Shine out net yet. Yeah, they're packing up. Alright, now we're just waiting on the next round. There's still like 9 minutes left. Damn, we could be going into the next round here if Table 2 finishes sometime soon. I know there's like 1 billion people already there, but maybe we gotta hop into that table and watch what's going on there as well. If we still have so much time left. Hold on. I just remembered. Probably... If you haven't noticed, the better camera quality means I'm using the phone for my face cam this time. Since I'm not playing, might as well. I'm in high definition now, instead of the usual fuzzy output of my other one. Sorry for the camera shaking. So I should make sure that's plugged in so it doesn't run out of battery. Alright. All y'all spectators, just hop into my stream already so it doesn't lag the players. What do we got here? Cross Heart versus Puppets? I'm surprised it's going for this long then. These are both pretty aggressive decks, especially Puppets. Puppets is crazy fast and aggressive. It's typically not the type. I don't think of it as the type of deck to have drawn out games. It's very explosive. They both had a slow start. Yeah, I guess that happens. It's hard game variance does means that even when you have 2 fast decks, if both of them just sort of brick, you know, you could still end up with... Is he on like 1 card in hand? What is going on? Huh? Damn, I wish I watched this game then. To know what the hell happened here. They're potentially playing Kaguya Puppets. I know Kaguya Puppets is one of the slower decks, but if you're playing Puppets, IMO, you probably should be playing the more fast and explosive version. But you know, I guess if you want, you can play whatever you want. No shame in that. He used his whole hand to make cross 7. Okay. And now he had nothing. Kaguya Puppets is very slow into cross. Because EX7 or EX6 -6 is the whole board. What did we see here? I'm guessing that Taiki got dropped, and we're looking at the top 4, and he's trying to decide what to grab here. Yeah, tuck the Raptor Sparrow, grab the Shoutmon. Play the Shoutmon. 4? Which Shout is this? Confusing thing about... Okay, this is... Okay. Since it was for 4 cost, I was like, is this the one that evolves into Omni Shout for free? And yeah, I was like, that's exactly what's happening. Awkward thing about casting Digimon in general, you know, the game is designed for like every deck to be playing like 3 different versions of the same Digimon. So you gotta recognize them by their card art. And when they're all the same Digimon, it's like kind of minute. So if you aren't like memorizing the entire card pool, you're like, okay, it's Shoutmon. Which Shoutmon is this? This is the evolve for free into Omni Shoutmon on play Shoutmon. Looks like you got to attack over a token. He's doing the end of attack here to play Jaeger Dorulu for the cost reduced. Jaeger Dorulu can, and then he gets to attack. Jaeger Dorulu on play, I know, is another stun effect. I'm assuming he's gonna stun. He's stunning the Haniwa so that it can't unsuspend or use when digivolving effects, if I remember correctly, is that its effect. Which makes sense. Like, if the Central is like already a level 6, what are you stopping there besides like Nya Boots, right? Even stopping it from unsuspending like feels like it's going to be not super relevant because of overclock. So it might make more sense to stop Haniwa so you know. Oh, does it not stun? Is it just suspend and then no when digivolving effects? Okay, yeah, it does prevent unsuspending. Why did it unsuspend? Or did he target something else? Oh, did he? Okay, let me guess. He suspended the Haniwa and then went Centralmon can't unsuspend or activate when digivolving effects. That's right. Sure. I don't know. I wouldn't waste time even like going like, through the motions of like doing all of that. I would just say stun Central. Like you have a limited timer, so like why even bother? Like okay, I no need to get into that. We're playing the game here. Moving up the line, going to Kaguya. So maybe you're right about the whole like because this is Kaguya version. The games were kind of slow. Thanks for clarifying things for me, Speedy. Kaguya gives all your Digimon in Alliance, doesn't it? Yeah, so he's gonna... That's kind of nice, but I feel like it's kind of weird to use Alliance here. Because you could just swing those Digimon anyway. I feel like Alliance works best when you have Digimon that are like being played by effect. I mean, yeah, you play by effect, but you didn't play anything here, so it's just... You're suspending something that could suspend anyway. Okay. Drop a Shushu, or not Shushu, drop a Shumon, look at top 3. Grab some cards. Use a way to like maybe keep turn off after the overclock or something. End of turn, do that. End of turn, overclock. Alliance. Alliance, double Alliance, hell yeah. Pokemon Effect Elite. Pokemon Effect, play another. Oh, that's how he's gonna gain 2 memory. By replaying the yeah, he deleted it and replayed the damn, that's so good. Damn, maybe I should actually respect the Kaguya version of the deck then. Yep, and now you just pass turn to overclock for game. Yeah, the double alliance on the Central for to swing for 3 checks there is pretty crazy. And then the way he overclocked it, and then overclocked deleting the Ciel so that the Kaguya can then replay it to gain back that memory, so that you'd have enough memory gain there so for him to keep turn. Super sick. Puppet is a menace. Puppet is a menace. Puppet is definitely a menace of a deck. I would say it's probably amongst like tier 1 right now, just because of how fast it is. The other day I was like, on Saturday, you know, I wasn't expecting to play Saturday, but you know, I did end up signing up during the waitlist period for that regional, and I decided to get some last minute games in practice on DCG. One of the decks I ran into was Puppets, and I was thinking I was fine, and then they went like, I passed them to 1, and they went move up their rookie. All they had was like a Tamer and the Emblem, and I got OTK'd. Well, they had that and like a random Schumann on the board, right? They had a Schumann on the board, they moved up Schumann, they had Emblem, I was dead. Just like that. It made me really afraid of Puppets, which is why I played so like aggressively against Joey when I ran into him in the tournament. Because it's like, I knew that deck, if you just let up even for a second, you're just dead. Because they go, the overclock keep turn thing is basically like 6 damage by itself, which is insane. Because you go swing alliance 2 checks, overclock alliance 2 checks, overclock again alliance 2 checks. That's 6 damage. That's as long as you have like one other swing from like a random Schumann you played and they didn't remove. That's you kill. Yeah, 1 memory is enough because all they have to do is like evolve, trigger. Like passing to 1 is funny because it's like they evolve for 2 into like Kokeshi, go all the way up into Central immediately for basically for free, and then Nyaramon effect gain back the 1. It's like fucked up. Ugh. Scary deck right now. Scary deck. Also, have you guys seen Kurova is posting about, get this, some people playing Puppets are on Ragnarlord Ace. Maybe not for the reason you'd be expecting, right? From what I can gather, it's, you know, you do the whole like, you do your like 4 checks with Central, and you put them down to 1 security, and then you go slam Ragna Ace to do on play, trash their last security, overclock for game. They just needed some way to get that last check in, right? Without having to need to stick a extra body on board. So they're just going Ragnarlord Ace just because it's an on play trash security. Snide memory? Who cares? You're winning the game. Alright, looks like the next round is up, so let's hop into a table real quick. See here. Ooh, Marcos versus V-Passion on table 1. I want to see that, but we've already been watching Soy Marcos a lot. I kind of want to like have like a good wide spread of decks that we get to watch instead of watching the same things over and over again. Generally speaking, I feel like I think it just makes it more interesting for spectating. You know. So let's go into table 2 instead. I think these are two players we have yet to watch. Or no, never mind. I recognize that playmat. So we've at least watched one of these players. Remind me, what were they playing? I have such terrible short-term memory, man. Or such terrible memory in general. Anyone in chat remember? We definitely hopped into watching this player before. Puppets versus... Oh, that's right. This was the DNA Omni player. You originated Regner Ace for Game and Puppets. You've been pushing it since week 1 of EX11 and everyone called you stupid. Well, now you can laugh at all those people, laugh at all the people who called you stupid for it. Now that, like, you know, World Championship level competitors like Kurova are doing it. Alright. Kabumon Swing. Guys, ooh. It's Kaguya draws a card of Horomon. Was this the puppet player we were just watching earlier? I believe so. I mean, it is one of the only tables with a 2 with an undefeated, so now we're seeing Digital Gate open, picking up I and the 81 Omnimon. Puppet player has a bunch of delays set up, so they can generally just go off right here. Ruin mode, ooh. Man, if you're gonna play I get Ruin mode, right? It's just a generally strong card right now. I guess like the one thing to like to complain about in terms of running Ragnarlord in this is it's not searchable. All of these physical trainings and such would have whiffed on it. But I guess in that case you would just, instead of running physical training, you run what was it, the yellow black memory boost, amber boost. And in general, I feel like because you pop off so easily off of a low memory count and just having the emblem, I feel like it would make sense to like not run trainings in this deck at all, right? Am I crazy for thinking that? Because you have so many other ways to free Evo. You have the emblem plus the Karakuru. I guess the trainings will come up in the instances where you don't have like the full combo. Like if you have the wrong Karakuru, or if you don't have Kokeshi to trigger your emblems with. Yeah, so there's Mirai effect. Top 3. You can grab Central or Shumon. You're on 2 treadmill. Two is interesting because the moment you play one, you can't play the second one until you unless you get a black source somehow. Or until you pop the first one, of course. That's also an option. But yeah, we have treadmill now, and you can also run Amber. You still whiff it off of your Mirais and your emblems, but like, you know, that's the sort of L you have to take when you make these messy techs. All right. So Mirai dropped a Shumon, and then Central Effect dropped Shushu. Shushu drops a token, a temporary token. And now we can start swinging. The Yanni player does nothing but a bunch of tamers. Not even any Nokias, so can't even use the warp. The CS warps. Angel swings, alliances, 2 checks. Yeah, you can Uko into treadmill. I think it's so crazy that they printed those cards in general. It's actually insane, IMO. Ooh, now that I think about it, the trainings here actually come up because it gives him a way to like pass to 1 so that he can Nyaromon, right? Yeah, see? Or evolves into a level 3 anyway. Gets another token. Because if he goes like training for a level 5, like that, yeah, for a cost of 1, that should be a cost of 1. Okay, there it goes. And then you can go. I'm guessing that's end of turn. Drop the Shushu. Shushu gets him another temporary token, and he can also overclock here. Pop one of the tokens for the overclock. And with the Kaguya, you can double alliance. Hash security, gain back a memory. Okay. I'm seeing the vision with the Kaguya. It does mean you have more like lines for an OTK because of the double alliance giving you the extra check you would otherwise be missing. Because otherwise you need to find some other way to like, because with just Central, you're usually only killing from 4, so you usually have to find some way to like get a chip damage in, whether that's Uko or like playing a Searcher Shumon that doesn't get popped for by your opponent or something. But yeah, I think the double color trainings, I don't know why they designed them the way they did. I think it's nice that you can play them without having both colors, but like they really should have made it so you needed one or the other color at the very least. The way that they're just strictly better than other trainings, then they're strictly better than even monocolored trainings in a monocolored deck, just because of your ability to use them even if you like evolved an Uko in the back, or if you have like 0 cards on board because like you moved up and then swung your rookie and it died or something. And the fact that it activates the search out of security, like the only downside to them in playing in a monocolor deck is the fact that like if you have one on board, you can't play another. Like that's it. That's like the only downside, period. And that can be remedied by the fact that once we have one of every color combo, you just run, in a monocolor deck, one of each like color combo with your color in it. It's crazy. I don't know what they were thinking. Like at least with the double colored boosts, they're not strictly better than the monocolored ones because they dig you one less card, right? So I feel like they had to think of like, I guess like they can't play. You don't ignore the color restriction if you already have one on board. Is a bit of like a down. Maybe like they were thinking that was enough of a downside. But in my opinion, it just isn't. It's like it's not comparable. Maybe like the real flip side to this conversation is the fact that they've been designing fewer decks in general that use trainings, because we're getting so many more of these like trait I don't want to. I hate calling them the S word. These more trait heavy decks like TS and CS and etc. that are like rainbow colored and therefore can't necessarily run trainings. And we're getting so many more of those than we are getting regular decks. Then you can print stronger trainings because who the heck is running trainings anymore? I mean, I guess there are still decks that do run them. It helps that they did give us the Liberator set, which is a bunch of decks that are monocolored. But like, we're getting more TS in the future. Then we're gonna get also all the Beat Break and Data Squad trait decks, and then Shambhala is giving us the Shambhala trait decks. Yeah. I feel like it's been time already. Can we kill slop already? Can we consider that as like outdated terminology by now? I'm so done with it. All right. We're just seeing setup from both players. Omni player swung and died there, or had their Uko killed and played a digital gate open. I don't know why I blinked out for a second. Which he's looking pretty sparse here on resources in general compared to the Puppet player. Puppet player has a lot more going on. Got a Shumon in the back, a Shumon on the board, a training and a tamer. That Shumon doesn't die could just be OTK from here, but there is no emblem setup, but like depending on how much memory was given, maybe just the one training could be enough. So it feels like the Omni player might be on Razor's edge, but that's just the kind of thing. The thing with puppets, it's so fast right now. Yeah, not a very fast start, or not very fast games coming from the Omni player here. Just a lot of just playing tamers, and not a lot of moving up and doing things besides swinging Uko. He almost forgot to drop the Gabumon there off of his Nokia on play. Is 2 going to be enough? I think 2 might be enough. In fact, 2 might be the perfect memory to be put at if you're the Puppet player here. Because you can then go crack training, go until 4. Oh, he has the Shushu that reduces by 1. I figured he was just gonna go like evolve into 4 and then evolve into 5, passing himself to 1, or passing the opponent to 1, and then going overclock keep turn. I think that's just OTK from this position. But maybe he's missing some pieces as well. Hopefully, because then the game can keep going. Because otherwise, it might just be over here. Right? So there's... But here's like the weird spot here. Uh-oh. Okay. We're good. Connection issues? Are we good? Can you guys... You'll see me just fine? Yeah, looks like it. It just froze there for a second, it looks like. I guess you can like how do you pass 1 here? I guess one way to do that would be to like if he plays the Evo cost reducer Schumann and then evolve that for 1 into a level 4, you can do it that way. This isn't OTK? It should be. No, one of the Schumanns here was played last turn, so it can swing. He didn't evolve for free. Chose not to pop anything. Playing what looks to be... Is that another Shushu? No. That's Ciel Awakened. And then since the opponent has a Digimon a token. That was going to die to DP minus. Are we going to overclock here? Yeah, Cielo can get to stun one of the Tamers. Like we stunned double Tamer, which makes sense. That's like 2 less memory. Okay, deleting the Shushu for the overclock. Alliancing? No? He's thinking about it. Just gonna do 1 check. I guess if you're not going for game, just doing 1 check makes sense. That's not the Evo for free Karakura? Oh, got it. Thank you, Damien. Yeah, that's kind of bad for Puppets. It was crazy, because I was thinking, like, yeah, Puppets has the right cards, they just OTK here. And then they just did not have the right Karakuru. So you couldn't do the combo. So it just ends on a big board. The opponent looks like he had the BT17 cards. So he's just going to go right into DNAing here. And that's Omni. That's 81 Omni. Let me read 81 Omni real quick. I believe it's going to remove a bunch of stuff here. Alright, return all opponents with as many or fewer Digivolution cards as this Digimon to the bottom of the deck. So that's all their tokens gone. And all of his weenies gone. Then delete one of your opponent's Digimon. So then, boom, you also delete the Sendromon without a way to protect itself either. Yeah, double removal effects like that are crazy good. And then when any opponent's Digimon leave the battle area, trash their option card and trash their top security. Also crazy effect. Yeah, the memory gain is tied to the suspending and not the end of a turn of attack, so now he also gets to attack with the Omnimon, trash security, and do unsuspend and do 1 check. Leaving the puppet player at 1. And having to deal with an Omni that can partition into Wargrey Metal Garuru. And if all your removal is nothing but deletion and DP minus, you're going to have to deal with that partition. Let me try to remind myself of what the on-play of those guys are. Because that's going to be super relevant for the partition here. Especially since, as far as I remember, Central's DP minus effect is mandatory, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see here, where's Secret Crisis? On play, you can delete 8k or lower for Wargrey. And for Metal Garuru, I believe both of those are the BT17 version. Metal Garuru can't suspend, which feels less relevant against an overclock deck, Lamau. But maybe the delete in 8k can like stop something from being an alliance target or something. I guess with both you can like basically remove like 2 alliance targets. Not that alliance is gonna, not that they're gonna swing in the first place, since generally, if you're in this position as the puppet player, you're only going to make plays that are trying to like prevent you from dying and not going for game, unless you're playing the Arisa that can give rush. Looks like instead what we're going for is a CL line, a CL Awakened line that can enable a stun to protect himself with. Now we're going into healing a CL and can evolve into Karakuru, which is crazy, which then allows him to go into Kaguya and play another CL to go for another Awakened. Awakened is a stun on Evo, right? When your Digimon can't suspend, Digimon or Tamers. And end of all turns, places Digimon stop that card. That end of all turns whiffs here because he played that CL at end of turn with the Kaguya effect. But it will happen at the end of the opponent's turn because it's end of all turns. So again, since we went for double Awakened here, we ended up with a stunned Omni and a stunned Metentai. Not that can necessarily even prevent lethal here, or could it? Maybe. I imagine that because he got that Gabu for free, you could still potentially like drop another BT-17 level 6 to make another Omni that could swing for a game, since you can just trash the last security. But you might have to worry about what's the other disruptive effect of Kaguya, like when Digimon are deleted, you delete? Something like that? It was... Is this the Kaguya I'm thinking of? Which Kaguya is that? I'm trying to figure out. Is that like the new Kaguya or the old Kaguya? No, I'm pretty sure it's the old Kaguya. They did the end of turn thing. The foiling is throwing me off. When your other Digimon are deleted, delete an opponent's lowest level Digimon. That could potentially throw him off, to be honest. Depending on how it goes. If he goes into another 81 Omni, the double removal will more or less guarantee that the opponent just like gets blown out, right? Because like even if you go like he's gonna like bot deck the CL Awakened and then delete the Kaguya without giving it anything to pop to protect itself. And he's gonna do all of that before Kaguya triggers its effect to delete lowest. But maybe if he goes into a different Omni, it might be a different story. Like if he goes into CS Omnimon, let me read CS Omnimon real quick. Yeah, on play when attacking, delete lowest. You're not going to do that first. You're going to first, when Digivolving, for every 2 same level cards, return one to Digimon to the bottom of the deck. In which case you go, when Digivolving, bot deck the CL, and then attack. When attacking, delete Kaguya, and still get to play around it. It's the debugger art. What was confusing me was it wasn't showing up when I searched Kaguya. Okay. So I missed what was happening because looking up cards. What is that blue option on the table? What am I looking at? Is that like ice archery? Because I have to assume so because the Kaguya is now upside down. That's so funny. I mean, that is a card you can tech. You have a lot of blue to activate it, or you can like have CS Agumon be the color condition for it too. That's crazy. And you can trigger it again when you swing CS Omnimon. So I don't hate it. It's just like you have to pay 5 for it. All right. So he saw an emblem here. Did he play the emblem, or did he? Okay, he got past like 5. Was the emblem already there? Maybe, and I missed it. And then he played the Schumann for a turn. Try to dig for something, for an out of some sort. Yeah, it's not looking good for the puppet player. Even if the opponent didn't like necessarily could win that game, that turn, the board he put on board wasn't as threatening. Oh, okay, wait. Might be speaking too soon. We're seeing some plays here. The seal not being removed means they could just evolve into Karakuru and make something happen here. Haniwa effect. Let's go. You can trash a card, grab back whatever you want from trash. Let's see. Is it going to be Central? The awkward part here is going to be a lack of Nyaromon, but we can still pull off something like end of turn Kaguya plays Yell to keep turn after overclock, so he can still like make a huge play here. Namake off the Central. And 3 tokens because there's 3 Digimon on board. That's crazy. Okay, but the DP minus is also mandatory, right? Sandry? Yeah. At the very least, he can target the Gabumons, so he doesn't have to worry about the partition here. I imagine that's what's going to happen here. But he probably... That Omni has blocker, right? They might have to like deal with the Omnimon anyway. You think he shouldn't overclock? Oh my god, he is outing the Omni. So here comes partition. Oh my god, and then it triggers... The partition triggers the time at... That's crazy. About to get blasted. He probably is. If he overclocks, he can get blasted here. Well, yeah. He can overclock, do an attacking to kill the Gabumon, and then not, like, trigger... He's just running into everything. He is just like saying, fuck it. Whatever you got, go do it. He let him partition, and he let him just, like, trigger Miraculous. He's just, like, not worried at all. I think Niaro has potentially hit restricted next ban list. I can see it. I think it won't be too bad of an idea to do so. I think the weird thing is that, like, in that case, puppets can probably still pull off the same things they've been doing, but they have to work a lot harder for it. Because I think it's gonna come down to doing a lot more of, like, setting up a board where it's like Central and then make Kaguya, and then you keep turn off of Kaguya playing CL. But that's going to require so much more setup, possibly, right? With Nyaro, it's just you just sort of kill them, right? I feel like it's a good idea to take rid of that Nyaro in general, right? It might be just a little too generic. Especially considering overclock is a keyword. You know, force these decks, these overclock decks, to find some other way to keep turn. And in general, since like Central's like one of the top decks right now because it's so fast, it probably is going to be like on the radar to getting hit. So yeah, and Nyaro feels like a good one. Because generally speaking, it feels like they'd rather like, or when decks are like winning a lot because they kill too fast, they usually try to like, instead of like killing like typically, not always, they typically try to like farm something that's low rarity and not like archetype specific that like enables the speed rather than like a core part of the deck. So like in this case, you know, I think they would not be hitting Central or Karakuru, but rather Nyaro. That feels like something that's way more Bandai of them to hit. You've been using it for the Dinosaur TK? Dinosaur TK is a deck that I want to be playing, actually. It's something I was thinking of picking up in the near future. I mean, you've been using that to like trigger your I'm guessing your Mistymon, right? Am I spelling Mistymon wrong? I think I am. Yeah, all turns when security is removed from the, you may unsuspend. And trigger the Dynasec Plus. That Dynasor already triggers his own Sec Plus. I guess you could just, you know, I guess it lets you do it with more flexibility. You don't have to use your own Digivolving effect to trash your security to trigger your Sec Plus. You could instead, you know, evolve it in the back and then move up and then swing and do it that way. I don't know. I feel like the Nyara helps because the memory is always nice to have. But I think you can still OTK without Nyaro, right? Dynus on Evo gives you Trash Security to trigger the Sec Plus, then you sync for 2 checks. Then you go Dynus X to trash their security. And trash your own security, which triggers your Mistymon to unsuspend. And then you sync for another 2 checks, and then you Omni for a game. Is there like a more flexible line that Nyaramon uses besides just doing it that way? I guess like I said before, you know, it does allow you to just evolve Dynasmon in the back, move up and go for it, and not have to worry about like getting ruined. Not that you've tried out. Yeah. It's funny because I feel like Dynus is like close to being viable. It's just like but the only issues with it is like it is kind of like straightforwardly like what are you doing that you aren't capable of doing with other decks? It feels like you're just playing a different version of Gallant OTK or Gallant X OTK because it's the same thing. Swing 2 checks, trash security, unsuspend, swing 2 checks, Omni for game. But you have like less, I mean, it's different. It's just a different version of that. And that deck is already just not seeing that much play right now. But I feel like the other big reason that it's like not keeping up is like the deck doesn't have as much like memory gain effects as like the other decks right now. And if we lose Nyaromon, that's like one less memory gain effect that you would have. Well, that's an awkward one for the Omni player. Dropping they dropped Digital Gate open and had to bottom deck 2 Alter S's. Puppet player just going evolve in the back, training, and then Mirai, yeah. Picking up Central, so they have Central now. They're at put the opponent to 1, which is pretty perfect. Right. Cracking the digital gate open for Nokia to drop the Gabumon to search, picking up 81 Omni and Agumon. And then for 4, dropping the Taimat. Now, it's kind of rough. I feel like doing these heavily... These are like really expensive setups for like this point in the game, I think. He's probably fine because the opponent didn't set up a emblem. But if you're passing 4, they can probably kill you even without emblem if they have all the pieces. I feel like that's like the issue with like puppets is that like, you know, if you just high roll and see everything early, you kill very fast. I feel like is this not their turn 2 right now? Or am I miscounting and this is their turn 3? Because I feel like this is their turn 2. Because their turn 1 was the training plus Tamer, and now this is turn 2. Move up. Kokeshi, Karakuru. Central. They might be short still, though. Because they dropped that Mirai instead of the one that gets to drop him a free thing. Instead of the 3-cost one. I forget what the new Mirai does. When you evolve, suspend, play. Oh, you still get the free body off of that, right? Swing Alliance. Miraculous. Nothing up for Miraculous. 2 checks. Alright, are we gonna see the weird Kaguya thing again? Where he goes into Kaguya from here. And then get an OTK? Nope, he's just gonna drop Ciel, gain 1. Up that. The Overclock Alliance here. No Nyaro, it looks like. Hits Digital Gate. Digital Gate plays Gabu. Look at top 3. There's Garuru and Wargrey, which means he can just move up and DNA. That's kind of scary because it looks like we're... Unless I'm missing something, it doesn't look like you're OTKing here. You're just going for a big damage turn. I think the Omni player is actually in a pretty solid position. He's not even picking up the Wargrey, it looks like. I think he can pick up both, right? Omni and Text plus a CS? Yeah. Which means now he has the pieces to do DNA shenanigans. This is why you don't like Kaguya puppets. Ragnar would be lethal here. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I think there's like, balances to this. You know, on the flip side, yeah, Ragnar would be, you know, lethal here in this specific scenario, but like you sacrifice the consistency of having your other top end be part of the archetype. I feel like it's not like 100% clear cut. Like, could you have said like you would have had this perfect line, or not perfect line, but like a line as well if he replaced Kaguya's with Ragnarlords? Like maybe he didn't even have Ragnarlords. Maybe he doesn't even have Kaguya in his hand anyway, so it wouldn't have mattered one way or another. He's playing so many trainings that I feel like you're gonna not hit the Ragnarlords too much. I mean, in this version of the deck, I guess. If you're playing Dragon Lords, you'd probably be playing the double color training regardless. So it's not... It, again, balances out a little bit. But still... You still, to some extent, lose a bit of consistency. Alright. This Gabu suspended. Did he swing Gabumon here? And did he get blocked by something? Or did he swing over a token? What happened there? Kaguya run puppets on non-search cards that Kaguya would draw into. Hmm. Kaguya needs a lot of pieces even if they are searchable. But in this case, it's like, you know, you're swapping one piece for another piece. In the case of swapping Kaguya for... Uh-oh. One of my streams dropped. And you guys can still see me? Oh no, I'm dropping. Oh, connection issues, looks like. Oh man. Why am I upside down? There we go. Are we back yet? Looks like we're back. Sorry about that. I got a little bit of a stream hiccup. I looked away and looked back, and Omni cleared the board, and like what you'd expect. No surprises here. I feel like I didn't really miss much, even though I looked away for so long. And of course, we're seeing CL play CL, on the Omnimon, to try to save themselves from dying on the next turn. But of course, you know, when you have tamers like Nokia, you have a lot of really good lines that just that you play from like nearly empty boards like this. You know, you can still drop that Gabu. Gabu can then look for any missing pieces potentially. There's War Gray, so Metal Garu, BT-17. With his two tamers, I feel like Metal Garu BT-17, you can keep turn on that, right? Which would be crazy, because then he'd probably just be able to swing for a game here. He'd go like swing trash security, unsuspend, swing. Actually, that's not quite lethal, is it? Unless he goes into 81 Omni and trash security. There's BT-17 Wargrey. Oh, it costs 8? I thought it cost 7. Ouch. This probably doesn't actually keep turn here. He must not have the CS Metal Garu, because it feels like I would keep the Metal Garu if possible. Doesn't he have CS Wargrey? You could have, like, I don't know. It feels like you should be saving those. Oh, trashing the emblem is so huge. Oh, holy shit, I just realized. Yeah, going into Omni, deleting this Digimon triggers both Omni's all turns effect to trash 2 security. So it's just lethal. Damn, here we are hyping up puppets, and then it just like being just short of lethal. And then it just gets got by Omni, and then having no answer. Yeah, I forgot about the alterns there for a second. The alterns trash the security when a Digimon leaves the battle area. And the fact that he had one already on board means he got to trash too. Yeah. And the puppet player was pretty stuck there because he was using, he needed to do something like play that CL to stun at least even the Omni that was on board to prevent himself from dying, only for it to also be just as much of his downfall as it was his savior. So he's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't. He never got into Ruin, which mogs this matchup. I mean, he looks like he was missing a lot that he would need it in general. We're talking about earlier how he was just short of being able to kill because he couldn't go into Kaguya or anything on his move out turn. And if he found like Ruin mode could have also been basically the kill too. So it was just an instance of him just not finding what he needed, one way or another. I almost wonder if maybe he should have like not moved out when he did. It feels like it's a gamble no matter what, because sometimes with the way that in Digimon, a lot of times you have to find your pieces as you go along because of the whole like draw for Digivolve thing. So sometimes you have to like look at your hand that's like, yeah, you can move up and make plays, but like you're not 100% certain that's gonna be like a kill turn or like be enough because, you know, you might draw into, you might evolve into your 6 and draw into the Ruin, you might not. And sometimes you have to go, well, time to make that gamble. And sure, you could like potentially go, okay, let's not make that gamble. Let's not potentially give my opponent free stuff out of security and go, I'll wait another turn, play more setup. But that's also in its own sense, its own gamble. But I feel like even then, because you're not, Omni generally doesn't OTK unless they do Alter S shenanigans. So I feel like even as the puppet player there, you could like potentially, wait for them to make their Omni, and then on the next turn, move, or, play another setup turn, see what your opponent does. If they make another Omni, you can move up, potentially out it, and then then end on Ruin or something, or just kill them. Unless they end on a board that's really hard for you to deal with because it's like some sort of 81 partition plus miraculous, which is like a pain in the butt. Like as I said, it's always a gamble, one way or another. Is the final round starting yet, or are we waiting for? We're waiting for table 5. But we are in timeout, so it's going to be starting here any minute now. And the final round is going to be Red Hybrid versus Omni. Nice. How'd you match, Marcos? Now, since you're in the chat, how'd your match against V Passion go? I kind of wanted to watch, but I rather also kind of wanted to, since we just watched you that previous game, I wanted to spread out the different matchups we watch. To cling under his dragons. Yeah, since this is since that's the Nokia CS-DNA Omni deck, I feel like both of your dragons are going to be really, really good here. Let's... All right, final round here. Where is it? Table 1. Final round, we always gotta watch table 1. We watched both of these players play before, so we should be pretty familiar with what their decks are doing. But this is for all the marbles. Yeah, I agree, Damien, with your assessment. Sorry, I'm not like reading it out loud. That's like mucho texto. But yeah, based on what like hindsight 2020. Sometimes you just never know because you're drawing as you go. But from what we saw, it probably looked like the decision there would have been to stay the back and set up a bit more. But there's a lot of things to consider. Sometimes you're feeling cocky. Sometimes you're feeling like the timer's creeping up on you. So you kind of have to like risk it all. Or sometimes you look at your opponent having 3 tamers on board and you go, well, maybe I'm dead if I do nothing. And you go all in. Alright, our players are off to the races. We have Marcos evolving into a Gunimon in the back, and sorry, I'm not paying attention to these names. Mammal with a shell is, I'll just say Mammal, going evolve Gabu, play Gabu for a search. Oh, this is neat. We're seeing Aguni swing and using his when attacking to evolve into the Alda for only a cost of 2. That's pretty solid, I would say, especially since we're getting to delete the Gabumon, so we don't have any stragglers chipping damage away. Hitting 11k in security, so it's dying and triggering the on deletion, so no matter what happens, we're getting free tamers. And it's because of the on deletion of the Flamemon, we're getting 2 free tamers, actually. Which is a bunch of just free value here. And all those hybrids in the trash are just going to get tucked under, are also value in a way, because they're just going to get tucked under the double tamer in the first place. So really good start here. I feel like Marcos here is like putting the pedal to the metal and is putting so much pressure, is like getting pretty ahead and is putting a lot of pressure on Mammal here. Especially because of Mammal's like deck play style. A lot of his plays I would imagine he would be doing here would be involving like paying 4 to get a tamer or a digital gate out to set up for his next turn. Which from this position is just a lot of memory to pass over. Even this play right here, he's going for an Ice Archery to try to protect himself. Which is also just, you know, passing a lot of memory here. Though it might prevent him from dying, it's like, you still need to set up, right? Maybe he's banking on the opponent going, or like, maybe he's banking on Marcos continuing to play aggressively, and maybe hitting some tamers or digital gate opens out of security, which might save him. Or not necessarily save him, but like compensate for the fact that he's not setting up a tamer here. Yeah, so there's, like I said earlier, there's a Miraculous, which gets him a free tamer. Getting him a draw. Now Elda end of attack getting to get another tamer out, so he replaces his one, he replaced the Takuya he used with another Takuya. And the Takuya in here is allowing him to get another tamer out, allowing him to do extra cycling and get more of his resources underneath. And then boom, end on the Volcanic Dramon, which prevents 6k DPs or lower from moving or being played. So now that Gabumon is now just stuck in the back. That stun basically accomplishes nothing. Or not nothing, but not as much as he probably needed it to, because the stun is gonna. I feel like it's just gonna ruin his plays in general. He can't even like yeah, he can like play one of the BT17 megas, but you're usually doing so in order to like evolve a rookie, and he can't play rookies here because of Volcanic. So he's just gonna go for a setup turn. He's just gonna have to play Digital Gate Open and maybe another Tamer here or something. He plays the Miraculous, which can't play anything. Just gets it on the board. And then Marcos just gets to go full ham here with all of his Tamers set up. This is probably most likely just going to be a kill turn here. Boom. 5 sources underneath one of his triple Tamers. Go to 4. Second triple Tamer triggering as well. Get another 2 cards underneath it. Go to 7 or go to 6. And on top of that, he has technically 3 different names, so he can even use the start of main here to evolve an Alda for free. He chooses not to. He's just going to go straight into attacking with the Flamemon, drawing for Koromon. Yeah, I mean, he has a swing plus two more hybrids his game here. It's so fast. Oh, and he just folds the Volcanic? Yeah. As long as Marcos finds his Volcanics, this is just going to be very one-sided. I almost feel like I probably should have just been watching another table here. Almost a foregone. You could almost say this was a foregone conclusion, but you never know. So, and you might as well watch it in action as well. Yep, hybrid game. Version 2 box set at the time ran 3 Volcanics. Yikes. Let me see if there's any YouTube chat. Not much. Okay. Going to game 2. We'll see if that goes any differently. But I can't imagine it doing so unless Marcos just does not find Volcanic. But this deck, it does draw a lot. It feels like you focus a lot less on the search and a lot more on the draw with this version of the deck, because you have the draw off of your triple Tamer, you have the discard 1 to draw 2 Flamemon, you have discard 1 draw 2 off of Aldemon, you have discard 1 draw 2 off the Spirit Evolution. You have a lot of ways to dig for your non-engine, if you want to call it that. Your non-archetypal stuff. Your tech cards, I guess, is what you'd call them. Marcos is just keeping his hand. That's pretty scary. And Mammal has to mulligan. Which is always, like, for me, it's always scary, because, like, when you're in this behind position, having to mulligan your hand, it's like, if you see another brick after mulliganing, it's like, you just feel super screwed, especially when game 1 looked so one-sided. And that's also just generally not like a good, like, not a turn 1 you're happy to see. No rookie, play 4-cost Tamer, give your opponent this much space to set up. Going for the search. Did not bottom deck a Volcanic. Very similar start as game 1, where he just evolves a Goonie in the back, so he can potentially just go swing and evolve into another Alda next turn. And start setting up more Tamers. And I feel like this is just really good, like, game plan in general for Red Hybrid here, because you know that your opponent is, playing Omni, which means they have all of those level 6s and level 7s you could potentially be hitting into security to potentially trigger your on deletions with, so that instead of Aldemon playing 1 Tamer for free, you're playing like 2. So that is like not the order you want your opponent's security to be in. But it's fine. You're still like super ahead. God, Marcos plays so fast. Spirit Evolution, discard, Burning Greymon, draw 2. Like, I guess you're still happy with Aldemon living here because opponent has to deal with it, otherwise you just get to swing with it again. And potentially play even more free tamers. And doing so then would trigger Spirit Evolution for just 3 evolutions. Ugh! And then trying to like get something going here with the Gabumon swinging to try to trigger Koromon, and then giving him another free tamer. Alright. I feel like I learned a lot today. I came in today going, I want to see decks that I didn't get to run into at regional to see what else is in the meta that I'm not super privy to. And here I am learning just how good Red Hybrid is right now. Evolve for 1 less into a Goonie. Start of main phase over the Mammal's feeling pressured enough to try to go for the Ice Archery game plan again. And Marcos is just popping it and just going for another Alda for 2 memory, or for 3 for effectively. This time it does die to security, so now he gets to spit out a bunch of stuff. I think the Aguni tucked on deletion Flamemon, which is probably why he's going to be able to play 2 free Takuyas here. One of the BT21 ones, and looks like the other one is, I think that's the Memory Setter one, the alt-art version. And he finds his Volcanic, so it's like, what do? The opponent had the Volcanic. So since Mammal had nothing, like, is hatching this turn, I almost wonder if like you were just better off just choking him and going, well, I'll just play Evolve Volcanic next turn. Yeah, it stops him from like playing a rookie, then playing a BT17 Mega. But like if you choke to 2, then you still can't do that play, Lamau. Or I guess being choked to 2, they can still do it off of Miraculous. So I guess it's still valid here, right? Choking to 1 would have done it. Mammal is just desperately trying to stun anything to try to save himself. But like, look at this board state. What can you even do? What are you stunning here? This was brutal. Return of Hybrid S-word. I might have to auto mod the S-word just to stop people from saying it at this point. You probably just came in here, Nighthawk, but like I was just saying that was earlier in the stream how much I'm tired of seeing that word. I have to auto mod this to set up this to auto filter it. Oh yeah, I guess that Garurumon could have been an ace threat, and he didn't even go into it. At least not off the Flamemon swing. I think it's funny also that like Marcos is just like going for it. He doesn't care whether or not he could have had an ace. He's not worried one in like the slightest. I bet he's thinking like, even if the opponent goes into Omni-S, like then what? You're not saved. He probably either has a contingency plan to pop it, or he's just going like he's probably or feeling confident he's not going to be able to kill him on the next turn. Anyway, yeah, that was a slaughter, man. Whew, that was brutal to look at. Let's hop into table 2 and see Bren versus V Passion. That finished so fast we can probably watch almost all, if not all, of these two play. We looked at Bren's deck earlier. Bren, you know, last Saturday won the entirety of the online regional with Alter S, but today is playing Red Hybrid. You watched him play a mirror earlier against Marcos. He's playing isn't playing as many crazy techs as Marcos. Marcos is on the Link Dragon package, but I think we saw him play a couple of interesting things. We saw Medusa from him, which is something we've already been, from what I can tell, is something already common from Red Hybrid players. But I think we also saw him show a Dinobimon, which is pretty cool. And I imagine V Passion is going to be playing the same deck he has been playing for basically the entire format, Jupitermon. And I'm curious to see how well this goes. Because Jupitermon is one of those decks that likes to do a lot of self-harm, which feels like it would be quite risky to do into a matchup as aggressive as Red Hybrid. How did I do at the online regional? Oh, have you not heard? Second place, baby! Alright. So not a good start from Bren. Having no rookie and having to just play Spirit Evolution to try to cycle for something. And on the other side, solid start for V Passion, going for a promo TS rookie in the back, playing a Tapermon for the search, and playing a Inori. Setting us up pretty well. He could probably potentially next turn go move up Demi Devi to go evolve into Digimon for free, activate its effect, activate Minori to evolve into Jochus for free. Could be a very aggressive start here. Jupiter runs Venusmon. I guess that's fair. Venusmon could potentially heavily slow down Red Hybrids and save themselves from getting just blown up. Yeah, both versions of Venus are not something you want to be, are not happy to see as the hybrid player. Okay, that's pretty neat. So even though that was like kind of a weak start for a turn 1 coming from Bren, that was not weak enough because you could just play the Tamer, trigger the Spirit Evolution, evolve for free into Aldemon, and then end of turn swing and also pop. That's pretty cool that Spirit Evolution just by itself is just so valid like that. But giving an opponent free Asuna out of security, not exactly what you want to see out of that check. V Passion is getting to replay the Tapermon that gets popped for more value. Oh, picking up another Asuna too. So if V Passion moves up, goes Agumon can just replay another Asuna for even more cycling, helping him to potentially find a Venusmon he would need to just completely shut off and make this one-sidedly in his favor. Up until the Alda Spirit Evo was so trash. I mean, in general, you can say that, like, and I believe you because you're playing the deck, but also in general, it feels like we haven't seen much of Red Hybrid at all since 81. Up until Aldemon, Red Hybrid, you can probably say, oh, it was maybe not trash, but pretty mid. It definitely wasn't seeing play, that's for sure. Yeah, it does have so much value. I guess in general, like, it being a 3 cost, and then because its effect would evolve one of your hybrids for free, most of them cost 2, but now that you have an Aldemon that costs 3, now it pays for itself instead of being a -1 cost, right? So So yeah, I think I see what you're putting, what you're saying with the Spirit Evo assessment. You're now paying 3 and now getting that memory back instead of paying 3 only to get a value of 2 back. Not to mention the fact that you can do it during opponent's turn to go like, oh, you hit triple team out of security, trigger Spirit Evolution, I pop your guy with Alda. I think I'm gonna miss something here. Why did the Aguni disappear? It got digivolved by I'm imagining, I looked away because I was trying to talk like a chat. I'm seeing a Minervamon. Did Minervamon de-digi the Alda? It should have stopped at Tamer, unless I'm misremembering the ruling here. Hold on, let me try to pull up the rulebook. Okay. Okay, never mind. It still trashes. Yeah, I double checked. It does still trash. I definitely misremembered the ruling. Because I remembered it checks, like, because you did Digi1, because Minerva doesn't Digivolve 3, it Digivolves 1, a number of times equals to your Tamers, or equal to your Digimon. You kind of have to, like, look again at what you are, sorry, it's slightly different from, like, a Digivolve, like, 3, for example. If you Digivolve 3, you just, like, immediately do all 3 at once. If you Digivolve 1, if you Digivolve into something that's, like, immune to effects, you suddenly stop Digivolving. Right? That's a thing. But apparently, even if you Digivolve into a Tamer, you can continue going. Regardless of which version of Digivolve you're going into. I had to double check that just to make sure. Minerva does not stop at Tamers. I looked at it. If you look up on the rule site, if you just search specifically for Minerva on the Q&A search, it literally has, like, the second thing talks about this exactly. All right. Yeah, I was reading that ruling in chat. I looked away and then I looked back and they're already, like, shuffling up. I'm guessing they finished their round too, considering that they're now just showing off what's in their deck. I imagine that this was a V Passion's win. He was looking very strong right there, looking very ahead. Damn, so you looked at table 1, they finished really quickly, so we moved to table 2, and then they finished pretty quickly, and now we have to, like, I don't know, move down the line or something? Alright. Koopa on Crossheart versus Camrad on Shine. Koopa having a lot of tamers on board, so he's resolving a ton of start of main phase effects. What's crazy is what seems to have happened here is that I'm seeing a Jaeger Derulo on board and a suspended Shine Gray. So I imagine he must have dropped that Jaeger Derulo, stunned the Shine Gray, and somehow Camrad didn't have much going on, because it looks like he's just going to his turn and like popping off here. So we got a cross 7 coming down. Fire Rocket, let's go. Fire Rocket, let's go. He's so dead. Oh my god. Yeah, bot deck the Shine, unsuspend, 3 checks. Bro, the double Fire Rocket was like unnecessary. The opponent is at 4 security. You just go 2 checks, unsuspend, 2 checks. Fucking crazy work here. Yup. I guess he can like now instead swing the rookie instead of swinging the cross instead. So like he doesn't lose to like last check Crimson Blaze. So I guess it's not entirely unnecessary to go for the double Fire Rocket since you can make that route. Alright, was that game 2? Was that a 2-0 or are we gonna go to game 3? I see them shuffling. I think we might be going into a game 2 or 3, whichever this one is. In case they run Holy Wave or Attack Retreat? Ah, sure. I guess that also would have been valid for like any other security bomb popping his stuff that could have also swung there. Like a Marcus out of security could like pop the BT13 Marcus out of security could remove the Starmon. And then if you also lose the Jaeger Derulo to something, like I don't know what, and then suddenly you don't have lethal. But even then you could also still win if you just have another cross 7. Because something I learned the other day is you can just evolve cross 7 into cross 7. To get another unsuspend off. A 7 here. Tactical retreat the Marcus Trust. That's fair, yeah. It sets you up for like the weird sec bomb moment, or if they don't out your Shine Gray, you hit Marcus at a security, blow you up. Didn't want to delete Aldemon, so went into Rush Guy into Minerva instead. Clear board completely. Yeah. Hey, a lot of Ukos right on the board right now. Both players just gonna start the game out slow and just start digging. Damn, are we gonna go Uko for Uko? No, we're probably picking up Taiki here. No, we're going Uko for Uko! We got an Uko Jamboree going on. I guess maybe he wanted to pick up the Uko because he didn't have another level 3 to put in the back, and he wanted to continue putting on the Uko pressure. Swings the Shoutmon, hits Digital Gate open. Probably not what he wants to see, because if I remember correctly, is that the on deletion Shoutmon, or am I just not able to recognize Shoutmons on site. That's the Evo Pack one, or the Evo Cup one. It is the on deletion one, yeah. Yikes. Now he has to hard drop the forecast Taiki Kirhanene. But he's probably fine to do so because your opponent has another Uko in the back, so you're not worried about them moving up like an Agumon and then climbing up or anything. And there's no Marcus on board, so I don't think like a Slam Rise Grade does much from here either. They're pretty safe to just pass 4. And I guess the flip side here about like not having Shatmon die here is that you don't mind if the opponent swings Ukomon over it. Because then you get your on deletion that way. And if he leaves that on the board, that's just free damage. You just swing again. Interesting. He chooses to evolve for 1 into Agumon. I'm assuming so that he can play Digital Gate Open and choke the opponent to 1. Alright. Giant Ruin or the Arm or the Tamer. Picks up the Tamer. Oh, you get both, right. Alright. We went from one player going for double Uko effect to another player going for double Uko effect. Now there's a lot more level 3s to pick up here, and he goes for the Omni Shout. Match. Second Uko effect. Jaeger Omni Shout Alter Ballista. Gets the Jaeger. Might be getting pretty close to making a cross 7 here with all these cards he's drawing. And he tucks a Raptor Sparrow. So we know he has Omni Shout, Raptor Sparrow, and Jaeger. Swings that. You can maybe tuck Pikmon effect, tuck another card. Tucks, I believe that's the Omni Shout that we probably saw earlier. Dies to Geograin Security. Now he gets to look at top 3. Maybe play a Tamer. What's that third card? The Glare is bad. He whiffs. No Tamer. And then save. Pikmon is generic, right? You can get her off the Uko swing too, or no? I'm not sure. We'll have another... Evolves 4-cost Shatmon in the back. Or no, that's another Evo Cup one, right? Again, they all look like Shoutmon. All Shoutmon look like Shoutmon. You're gonna have to like... we'll know when he does something with it. That's a lot of thinking here. Swings the Uko. Makes sense. He's getting the opponent down really low. The Uko spam is working. 2 security left. He might even swing that last Ukomon unless he wants to keep it up to potentially go for attempt another search. But I feel like with the opponent having a Agumon in the back, it's not unlikely they just pop off next turn. And, they also have Digital Gate open. Okay. EX6 is a good one here. Remove the Ukos. Yep, there's the Omni Shout, there's the Jaeger Darulu, Raptor Sparrow. Just the 3. So yeah, he definitely did not have enough pieces to go for a better cross here. But he at least gets to clear the Ukos, so no more digging here. That Agumon is, I believe, the start of main phase if you have a Tamer gain 1. So that Agumon might as well just be a vanilla that's named Agumon. I mean, I guess it has the inherit, but like, I feel like some of the other Agumons might be scarier. And the fact that this one has an effect that doesn't get to activate is, at least some like leverage if you're Kupo here. But still, you know, you could see going into Geogray. Oh, I was thinking of the other Geogray, the one that's like if you play a Marcus Digivolve. Okay, so plays the Marcus for free off of Geogray. Tracks Digital Gate open for another Marcus. I'm assuming we're gonna evolve into Rise Gray and start making shit happen. Either one would probably work here, because either way you just get to suspend your Marcus and start evolving up. But maybe he doesn't have it. Maybe he's missing a 5. Maybe he's missing a 6. No, he has a 6. But I think we saw him pick up Shine earlier. Okay. Ugh. Okay. I mean, it's still a 5, but yeah, it is Rise Gray that I believe. Wait, no. Okay, no. That is the good Rise Gray. That is the Rise Gray that lets him turn it into a Digimon and attack. What was he thinking about then? Just do it, brother. Alright. EP minuses and draws. Then evolve for the cost -3 into the Shine. Shine effect, play Marcus. Then delete something smaller, or delete DP minus and delete. He gets the material, save everything. And then one check at 6. It dies, it goes to security, so he gets to get a little heal here. And then since he played the other Marcus, he can still go end of turn, turn it into a Digimon, swing, and evolve into Ruin Mode for free. Will we see Ruin Mode? Maybe that's what he was thinking about. Okay. He had it all. One check at 6. Or, yeah, 6. It's a Katone. Katone effect? Tucks the EX6, which now he can basically let him reuse the EX6 now. Katone is a crazy card. Ah, you know what? That's a good point, Chris. Maybe he was just considering, maybe I want to use the other Rise Gray, because maybe I want to save this one for a hard slam. That is an important thing to consider in Digimon is like your resources. That's like, in most card game games, is your resources, right? Managing them is really important. Because, you know, when you're playing against something like Crossheart, you know, like you can like clear board and stuff, but you know, you also know your opponent can still make a play that can clear your own board potentially. And then you know, you might want to have a backup plan at the ready. That's very fair to think about. Potentially thinking if you wanted a -5 or -10. Did he ever out to... Oh, yeah. Yeah, he did have a route to -10. That might be it. That might be the other big thing to consider. Is that you could potentially -10 here. Because there are a lot of like DP threshold based on your own DP in terms of removal, right? If you -10 them, then it's going to be even less likely that Cross 7 bottom decks you. I feel like -5 is already enough. But you might have been doing the mental math at that moment to figure out whether a -5 would be enough to prevent Cross 7 from bottom decking your Ruin Mode. Yep, true. With the end of turn attacks, plus the Rise Gray on play, you have a lot of way to get sudden damage even with like only like so little to go, or so little on board. And the opponent only has 3 security left too, so it should be pretty easy to get that last bit of damage through. But instead of playing another Taiki, because he's probably still looking for, you might just be digging for like anything he can do to like potentially try to save himself. Not certain if that's going to be enough, especially when you pass over this much memory. It's going to make a hard slam Rise Gray even cheaper, or even in this case, you probably don't even have to hard slam Rise Gray. With that much memory, you could potentially go for like you can like just turn that into a Digimon. That's fair. You can also potentially like slam. Now with this as memory, he can play a Search Agu, and then from there claim up even more efficiently into threats like Rise Gray. Involves Agumon. Is that Agumon the search one? Because I feel like I would have like slammed it, right? Maybe if it's the only one, it's like you got to consider whether or not you do. Okay, that's one check in. He is at most. Crimson Blaze. Okay. That does stop Katone from playing out the EX6 from underneath the Tamer, I guess. That's like the best I can think of. I'm kind of surprised he did an alliance though. Maybe he was like trying to not do too many checks because he was worried about hitting more Tamers out of security. Especially if he was thinking that he could still kill no matter if the opponent was at 3 or if they were at 2, you know? You might have been thinking that like if he'd suspended, there might be a slight chance that an EX6 could come down and attack over his Rise Gray because of the DP minus. Okay, Rise Gray on play. Suspend it, triggering a bunch of effects when Tamers suspend. Triggering the Marcus to go into Shine to play another one. There's another one. Now we can delete Jaeger. Jaeger will save. And now we can do end of turn shenanigans. Or why does security go to his hand? Am I missing something? No second ruin. It's a lot of memory passed over. No ruin effect. People might be taking this one. His best protection, his best like anything here is the fact that he can, if when, no. I think he's just dead here. That's crazy. The Jaeger Derulu was enough to stall out the one turn he needed. Have some cards. Guessing you just. Alright. Cross 7's coming down. Cross 7 can probably most likely bot deck the Shine Gray, so you don't have to worry about the Marcus out of security doing anything for you. Bunch of markers out of security that don't do anything. Here comes another 2 checks. You're gonna need Crimson or something to make that shot one not kill you, but that's probably not gonna matter. Playing for game. Dang. And Caramel was looking so strong at the start there too. He just could not close it off after the Ruin turn. That's the thing about playing a Ruin focused deck, is that when you're playing against something like this, like it just drop 6s and above, you know, Ruin is just like not the end all be all that it used to be. There are so many matchups you can run into that just get to, you know, play via just slamming shit. All right. That was a pretty fun watch. I believe that should have been the last of them. Let me look at the standings here. Yep, everyone finished their matches. But the final standings aren't updated until the tournament. The TO clicks end tournament. I'd like to see what the final standings are generally as well. But yeah, man, what a tournament! I think I picked a good day to commentate, because I got to learn so much about how Red Hybrid plays in the current format. And it feels like anytime I'm either playing or watching this game, I'm learning about how a new deck plays, because it's too wide. There's too much that's viable. I even didn't expect to see the more traditional DNA Omni decks. I figured everyone was jumped onto the Ping Pong Alter S train. But no, there's still people rocking it with, I mean, it's like, there's so many variants to Omnimon now, because, you know, we have the Ping Pong Omni deck. There's like Adventure Omni as well, which may or may not be the same. It's not necessarily the same thing as the Ping Pong Alter S deck, because there's ones that are a bit more traditional adventure that also happens to be playing the new 6s and Omni, which is its own thing to an extent. And then we also people still playing the old like BT, was it 22 version. There's so many sets, it's hard to remember. Yeah, 22 is what I'm thinking of. The Nokia version, basically. So there's just every week there's just something new to look at, I guess. All right, I'm running out of things to say. It's the end of the event, so it's about time to head out. But before we do, let's go continue a Tesoro stream tradition and look at the new card reveals. Because we might as well. Only 4 rounds. We've only been here for like 3 hours. About time to finish off, but I'm gonna look at new cards and talk about them before we go. Boom. The newest card was just revealed like a couple hours ago. Peronomon. When moving on play, trash up to two Iliad or TS cards from your hand. Draw one for each one trashed. This one's interesting because we've seen a lot of like discard one, draw two from archetypes. This one is like discard one, draw one, or discard two, draw two, which is very different, but I think it's because of the fact that it's when moving, right? So if you evolve this in the back and move it up, it's still it's still technically a discard two, draw three type of effect. Like, are you sure you want to be going this route when we're like, you know, Icemon scatter mode is still limited, but this is allowed? Like, okay, buddy. Give me back my friend scatter mode. If this is gonna be okay. But I am happy with more wind moving in general. I just think this is kind of a crazy effect to do wind moving. Up to two is nutty, you know? Maybe one. I guess like the flip side of that, if you do this as an on play and then trash two, draw two, then you're technically going like, what? You're still -1 in hand in total, which somewhat balances it, but like, I guess it kind of needs to be this way because I think some of the, or this deck needed trash effects, because if I remember correctly, don't some of these cards evolve from the trash? Yeah. These cards specifically only evolve from the trash. So you need some way to set up for them. It's also interesting that that card is when moving, when I think they made the Lunamon only on play. Right? Yeah. This couldn't be a when moving search. That's something I find a little bit odd about the current state of new searches in general, because sometimes they do a when moving search and sometimes it's just on play, and it just feels like I'm not entirely seeing the vision on like why some are one way and why some aren't. Because we have this card that's like reveal top 3, add up to 2 cards, and it's only on play. And then if you go back to, let's scroll up quite a bit to find it. Oh, not this one. This one's also on play. Okay, it's probably gonna be way too far up to find it. But the starter deck Gekomon is when moving. I guess maybe like the reasoning is that if you let the card pick up 2 cards, it has to be on play, and the when moving ones can only do 1 card, right? So I guess that's like the balancing point, and it helps for like for Lunamon's case specifically that you can just play this for free off of the Tamers, and in the case also for Gekomon, for this Gekomon, you have a number of cards that also let you play Beat Break or Glowing Dawn Digimon for the cost reduced by 3, right? Or there, I know there's some examples of that. I have to find them. Pretty sure there was a Murasame-mon that does that. Yeah, play or use Glowing Dot trait from cost reduced by 3. So you get to play that for free that way. So it kind of compensates for the fact that some of these rookies are still only on play when it feels like we should be moving more towards the win moving as like a standard. We had a new Commandramon for the XL deck. Shocker. I love when they do this, by the way. You know, you expect a set to be like exactly what it advertised to be. You know, we knew that Dual Revolution would be just Savers and Beat Break and TS. And then, hello, Commandramon XL? Where'd you come from? So that's kind of neat then. And yeah, it's a win moving, and maybe that's just because, you know, this is not a deck that lets you play rookies for free. Right? There's no play I mean, there are effects that synergize for when you play XL cards, right? I mean, D-Brigade is a deck that lets you play this for free, so then... But then that deck already has on-play searchers, right? So now D-Brigade has their on-play searchers that look for top 5 and grab like 2 cards, and their when-moving searcher. And XL, I think... And XL also has its own searchers as well. It is also doesn't have that much of like on-play support besides like triggering your effects when you play cards, right? You get to trigger, I think, Pinamon. But typically you want to trigger Pinamon with a bigger card than a level 3. Yeah, we got a nice searcher that works for either the Brigade or XL. Or could add Akasmon, which I guess is also technically D-Brigade. And we got Sealsgermon, which kind of implies a ping-pong strat. But, like, Axel was already kind of this already, right? Because I mentioned before, Pinamon is already a card. So this is not that surprising coming from XL. Like, if you evolve into this, move it up, and then, like, play a level 5... Or not level 5, play your level 6, right? Then you can go Sealsgermon effect, evolve into a 5, Pinamon effect, evolve into your 6. Pinamon does what I remember it does, it right? When you play XL, does Digimon evolve into an XL with a hand reduced by 2? Yeah, which just makes the general XL play lines a little bit more smooth, you know? The fact you don't have to evolve up until a level 5 before you get to do the combo. Just move up your Sealsgermon and then drop your 6 and make your Chaosmon immediately. So on one hand, people might look at this and say like, oh, another ping pong strat, like because we already saw the you know, the Lekis and Fira that look like they're pretty similar, but it's surprisingly different, actually. Like, it's not as similar as you might expect. And there's also some synergies with this in D-Brigade now, isn't there? There's that one card. See here. If I'm remembering this correctly, there's a Digipolice card that we might be able to use. Yeah, the one with the extremely long name. Metropolitan the Police Department, Community CPR, Cybercrime Division, Investigation Unit 11, Digimon Crime and Response Team. The delay effect of that is to reveal top 3 and play a D-Brigade or Digipolice card. Trash the rest, play cost 4 or lower. So you can like set up a scenario where you like move up Sealsgermon, trigger the delay of trigger your delay option, and then get a free Commandgermon, and then trigger this effect to then evolve for like only 1 into your Tankgermon or Cargogermon, and then from there go into your 7, or no 7, into your 6. So it allows your Digipolice delay option to actually work a lot more like a traditional boost, you know? That's pretty cool for them. You know, and here's another indication that it's not necessarily the same as the other ping pong decks. The Tincturemon we got doesn't even have a free Evo effect, or a reduced, or even any sort of Evo effect. It is just when digivolving when attacking, reveal the top 3, get to play 12 cost or lower D-Brigade or Axel card with the cost reduced by 5, crash the rest. That's kind of crazy that, you know, play a 12 cost or lower, you know, a level 5 they can play a level 6 for free. It's pretty cool. But it works out with, you know, for this deck. You can evolve into this, and then what? You play one of your level 6s, which already reduced its own cost. But isn't this card just like crazy in general, right? With those cards? How much? Bancho Leo. It's 12 cost. If you have an Excel, it reduces the play cost by 5. And this reduces the play cost by another 5. So you evolve into this, and then you get to play Bancho Leo or Valdurumon for a cost of 2. Is that not crazy? Or you can play or Dark Dramon for a cost of 2, and then trigger your Pinamon, and then evolve into the other level 6, and then you get to DNA into Chaosmon for like even cheaper than ever, right? And then you trigger the Alterns effect to get to like prevent Digivolutions. Reboot blocker on your Axel or Chaosmons too. Might be kind of nice with the new promo, since that one's also makes itself immune to effects and doesn't have blocker innately. So, and then combine that with the redirect from Bancho Leo, so now you actually have some sort of like a defense, this big immune guy that can both block and redirect. And then if you somehow also got the right option underneath them. What it feels like is that these cards enable you to like not even need that option. I guess there's still like lines with it, especially with Sealsgermon. You still move up Sealsgermon, use that option card, play out your Bancho or Valder, and then do the big climb, and then you can set it up that way. Yeah, their option card also reduces the cost for a bit as well. What does the option card do? Let me reread it. Singularity of Chaos costs 2, but it reduces by 4. Effectively another 2 cost reduction. Turning Bancho or Valdermon from normally 7 with just their own reductions down to 5. So you go like move up Sealsmon, use the option, play Bancho for 5. Then what, you evolve for 1 into... evolve for 1 into Tankdramon. Tankdramon effect. Screw playing a level 6, use this to play Search Rookie for free to help you find the Chaosmon you might be missing. Then go Pinamon effect. Evolve into your... Pinamon reduces by 2, right? I'm not crazy. Yeah, reduces by 2. So then you evolve for 1 into another level 6. You paid 7 total, and then get to make a Chaosmon. And a rookie. Or whatever else. You could just use this to play out a level 4 or 5 as well. You go a little wide there. You do it that route. I think that like the one thing is that like this reducing your level 6s by 5, but you can't use it in conjunction with the rest. I guess like the one thing you can maybe do that might be interesting is that like you could go... If you really want to use Tankdramon to make your level 6s like giga cheap, you probably would still have to do something like move up Seals, play Singularity, use that to play like a free rookie, sort of. It's going to be effectively a 2-cost rookie. Search, trigger Seals, they paid 2 so far, trigger Seals to evolve Tank for 1, and then Tank gets to play level 6 for 2. They paid 5 total, which is like the same amount as if you would just use... I mean, it's still a reduction compared to like you used to do, since you used to be like have to be level 5 first and then do it. Then you go Pinamon effect, pay 1. So for 6 total, instead of like 7 total, you get to go into your Chaosmon. If only Singularity costed 1 and reduced by 3, then maybe that would be even more efficient. Because right now it feels like it's like you're missing out on a reduction if you're using Singularity to play cost reduction, search rookie. Oh, I guess Sealsdramon himself is a 4-cost, so you can go Singularity play Sealsdramon, but then you won't have Pinamon, and I feel like Pinamon is important to the combo. If you go, I'm wondering how you'd get the combo off if you go empty board, Singularity, play Seals. I guess one route you can take is that you then go play a level 6 for a cost of 7. Then trigger Seals, evolve into Tank. Tank effect, play another level 6 for a cost of 2. That's going to cost 10 total, but then you end up with 2 level 6s and a Tankdramon on the board. Or it's going to cost 12 total, technically. I guess, like, if you have no board, 2 memory, you can technically do all that to go basically put your opponent to 10 and end on Tankdramon plus Chaosmon on the board. It's a desperate play, but sometimes it's kind of, you might be in a scenario where it's kind of what you need to do to stay alive. Right? It's a route. There's probably even a better route you can make, but I'm just not coming to mind. But yeah, this stuff is super cool for XL. Ever since they revealed Chaosmon, or not Chaosmon, XL Darkdramon, it's been kind of a question of like, oh, are they eventually going to do the Commander XL line? It's like, when is that happening? I didn't expect it to take this long for it to happen, but we're finally here. Yeah. I guess the only other card to talk about is this. I mean, if we're just looking at these few cards, maybe I think I talked about Chaosmon a little bit Saturday, but now it's just Clavis. If you played Tim Stranger, seeing Clavis here might bring up some PTSD. That certainly was a section of the game, Lamau. Opponent's Digimon's effects don't affect his Digimon until their turn ends. Yeah, he sure does have that ability. That's for sure. That's pretty appropriate, to be honest. And then he trashes upper bottom security card, which synergizes well with the other angels in the set. You can get the drop free bodies, and then when you do so, all turns when your security is removed from, you get to play another angel or Iliad from your hand without paying the cost, and then give everything reboot blocker. 2 of your Digimon reboot blocker. I'm almost kind of wondering, like, what are you accomplishing here? At the very least, you can do something like if you get the stuff out to go DNA into Shakomon, you get to trash their security and do Digivolve stuff. Then you can go evolve Clavis. Clavis can then get you, you trash security, you get effect of the Anjumon you trashed, get another level 4 out, and then Clavis effect, get another level 4 out. You can DNA another Shaco, which seems kind of nice. But what I'm wondering about is, like, this guy is immune, but he's not very threatening, right? Not by himself. I guess it's the fact that he gets to play Shacos, which get to swing and trash security, makes him threatening. Yeah, I guess that by itself is pretty threatening, right? Just Shaco spam, especially considering Shaco trashes security on Evo. Or does it? Yeah. Trash both players' top security cards. Yeah. So you just constantly trashing security, but then swinging, and then reboot blockering as well. Yeah, I'm like on two minds of this. This is like only a rare. It seems pretty good, but then I'm like going back and forth. Is like, yeah, it's protection, but like, does he do that much more? But then I realized, yeah, wait, you can spam Shaco. That's pretty good actually. But is that going to be enough? He himself, like when I think of cards that are like a big immune bodies, like there's so many other examples that do like even more than Clavis does, right? I feel like something like I feel like he's like in when you have to you can compare him to like other Digimon that have immunity to Digimon effects, and like is he that much better than say Vortex? Maybe so. Is he gonna be that much better than like Alter S and Blitz specifically, I guess, since that's the other Digimon that protects your guys. And Blitz and Crest are crazy. I mean, you know, it won a regional for a reason. But I can't tell whether or not this is going to be as crazy. But like, I can picture him being that good. Because I'm thinking that like, yeah, spamming Shakomons. I guess maybe like the real weakness is that like, one, it's gonna be really piece reliant because yeah, you can probably set up a scenario where you like trash an Anjumon from security and then get to play two bodies. But for one, you're gonna have to get that Anjumon into security at some point, usually by having it ascend. Um, but then the Anjumon, you can't play itself. It has to play another angel from your hand. And this also plays an angel or Iliad from your hand. So it feels like you need to like accumulate enough like level fours for this like level four spam to work. And I don't think you're going to be drawing nearly as much as like Hoodie did when they were doing this exact like DNA spam. Here, if you like, let me think if I can. Let me see it. Think if I can think of a like a OTK you can do with this. You can do something like, let's say, swing. What's his face? Agiomon, because he has barriers, so he guarantees to live. And then you have like another guy on board that you played off of the tamer. So then you DNA into Shaco. Shaco trashes security and then gets the swing. So that's 3 checks so far. Then you evolve into Clavis. Clavis gets to play another 2 bodies to DNA into another Shaco to trash another security and swing. That's all 5 security down. And then you got to find another way to win, which is, or to end that, which is probably something like evolve Mercurymon, uh, and then if the if the Agiomon played out a Dan, you can then go unsuspend attack for a game. That's still pretty piece heavy, and it also requires you to have 3 memory and all of that, since you need to be able to evolve into Clavis while keeping turn. And at that point, it's like, why don't you just play the Maruki OTK that people are already doing, right? This feels like a bunch of extra steps in comparison. Does adding Juno to the mix help? Maybe. Forgot what Juno does besides more of this, playing more bodies. I mean, I guess Juno gets to play level 8 or play cost 8. Placing one other Digimon as a top security card. Trash both players' top security cards. I can't say necessarily because, like, it wouldn't make the OTK I mentioned any better or any easier to do because it's. I feel like you have to like. Would then have enough. Would need enough memory to evolve Clavis and evolve Juno. Would it be so much simpler to then evolve instead evolve Glavis and then evolve Mercury, only needing 3 memory? Ooh. Idea is to drop him next to Dimini to protect Dimini, and then Dimini protects everything else. This thing only protects itself, though. By trashing your top or bottom security card, your opponent's Digimon effects don't affect this Digimon. So you need to have some way to then turn this Digimon into the Minimon, right? So it's not like you can like protect the Minimon with this. You can give reboot blocker to the Minimon with this. Not that you need that. It is cool that the Pegasmon can put like the mini into security, so you can like Magnamon it out. That's pretty sweet. If there's a way to do Digivolve this, then maybe you can like think of something crazy that involves the mini. But this is TS and not CS, so no Carrier or Palamon shenanigans here. Yeah, yeah Juno, yeah the Iliad Angel, no, what was it called? What was Guardian Palace? The Guardian Palace deck definitely needs some sort of draw engine. It looks like, but we've seen. I feel like we've seen most of it already, haven't we? It might just be like a deck where it's like it could do all this crazy shit, but it has like no draw effects, and it needs a billion pieces to do its most craziest plays as like a balancing mechanism. Your draw engine is Agiomon adding your security to your hand or some shit like that. And I guess you can still just use the generic TS stuff. You can like, you know, play your Asunas, your Hirokos, and then bottom them for your Tapermons and Elecmons. Did we get another searcher this set? I bet we did. Oh, we also have Tokamon. That's a even easier to trigger draw effect than the rest than we've seen. Or you can just play Wanya, I guess, if you want to do that. Hawkmon? You probably wouldn't be playing Hawkmon. You're not playing Beasts. Did we not get a searcher for the Angels? We got Patamon. Patamon is your searcher. Yeah. So yeah, there's your draw engine. All right. Well, it's been a long one. So it's about time to call it, I think. Wait, did we get a new Shaco enabler in this? Did we get like an Ankilo or something? Or is it literally just Anjumon and we have to like run CS Anjumon for the draw? Which you still can because it's still an angel. So I guess that works out for y'all. Especially since it's also half blue, so you can be the blue half that you need. Yep. Alright. Yeah. Good night, everyone. See y'all next time. Hope to see you again. Bye bye.